Everyone's heard of dad strength.
That almost superhuman power unlocked the moment a man becomes a father. The kind of strength that lets you rip a door off its hinges or lift an entire car when your kid's in danger.
But is it a fact or just another myth? Sorry. To find out, I gathered a group of teen bodybuilders to put dad strength to the ultimate test. Could you guys get off your phones?
Why should we? This is gonna be like mad easy anyways.
All right, I guess we'll find out in challenge number 1, 1 rep max deadlift. All right, guys, each team pick your strongest deadlifter. So dads, who are you sending out?
We're sending Scary Jerry.
I like that
Jerry.
ball, dude.
I like Jerry Bear better.
Heard that one many times.
Teens, what about you guys?
Sending Chris up there.
Chris.
Let's go, Chris.
Okay. So we have one team powered by life experience. The other team just energy drinks, I think?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Quite a bit of energy drinks. Okay, so we're,
4 energy drinks. Wow.
Sometimes 5.
what do you think about that?
I think that's crazy.
You have a son, right?
I do.
You'd say no energy drinks?
Absolutely not.
So you ground him, I guess.
I'd probably kick him out for 5.
All right, so we're gonna start at 135, and it's basically the first person to tap out.
Wait, what the
Who's
fuck?
gonna go first?
We'll let the young guy go first.
After you.
All right.
I mean, you changed diapers heavier than this. You got this. Let's go.
Come on, Jared.
Let's go, Jerry.
Okay.
All right.
Don't trip, bud.
Don't crack out. Ah, fuck, you got it. Easy, easy.
All right, 225.
Careful of your back, man.
Come on.
Don't break anything.
Yep.
Nope.
There you go.
That looked pretty easy. Are you nervous right now? No? No? Okay.
Just energy drinks.
Easy.
Boom.
Easy.
All right, so the weight's starting to get a little serious now, 315. What's your day been like today?
Really rough. Non-stop all day, 10 hours.
And this guy could beat you. He's working all day construction. What do you do? Play Fortnite?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
You even pay taxes?
Ooh,
No sweat.
Okay.
Come on, Chris. You just finished a 12-hour. You can't let him beat you. Oh yeah.
Oh, you had to switch the grip. You had to switch his grip already. You had to switch his grip.
I think we go 365 now.
Based on how 315 looked for both of them, we're gonna be here for a while.
Oh, the shoe's coming off.
Just getting nervous a little
You
bit.
need to take your shoes off or no?
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Jeans and Converse.
Yeah, jeans
That's what we do.
Let's go, Jerry.
Easy. Easy.
It's been looking like 135 the entire time. Oh.
Stiff like deadlift too?
So like, when you guys look at the dads, like what does it make you feel? Like, do you guys get scared that it's gonna be you one day or like,
I don't want to get old and slow like that.
did you get intimidated by them or no?
I feel like at that age I'll be bigger, right? Bigger and stronger.
What do you guys think when you see them? How does it make you feel?
I like the coordinated outfits.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we laid out last night before bed for them, so that was kind of nice.
Look like a teenage boy band.
Easy.
All right, let's see it. 405.
Come on.
Come on, man. It's easy.
Oh yeah.
Oh. So now the straps are coming in. 455 pounds. You gotta pretend your son's under this and this is a car and you're saving his life. That is dad strength, Jerry.
He's gonna be out for a month, yeah. Back, hips sore, you know, knees.
Do you hear them making fun of you right now?
He's out for a
Do
month.
you hear them?
I hear it all.
You guys got matching underwear too? Like,
You're just jealous, I think.
Yeah.
Come on, Jerry. Let's go.
Let's go, Jerry. Come on. Oh!
Nice.
Let's go. That was a good lift.
Lock in, brother.
I'm surprised the teenager needs grip. Like, don't you train your grip like every night? Like, why do you need a strap? Okay. Yeah. Oh. It's significantly slowed down for both sides here. Oh, I heard it. Oof.
There's a little bit of cardio.
How much is this? I can't even count that high. We're at 495. The straps are out. Now the belt is out. 495 pounds on the bar.
It's been a minute.
get it.
Come on, Jerry.
Let's go, Jerry. Come on. Oh.
Easy. Let's go. No, right. Out of boy.
Yo, you gotta pretend you're the next Snapchat she sends. Depends on you hitting this lift.
Go, Chris. Go, Chris. Go.
Chris, what's the most you ever deadlift before?
I think those 5 plates were the most, but we're gonna go for a PR.
This is a PR if you get this today?
Oh, hell yeah, it is.
Okay.
I think we're both hitting PRs today.
If you get this, you're straight up daddy, man.
Let's go.
Get it. I'm rooting for him. Nice.
Fucking right, Jerry. Attaboy.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Come on, Chris. You can't lose to a dad. Yeah, come. Do you know how many people are watching this? You can't lose to a dad. Let's go.
PR.
Come on. Let's go.
There we go.
Oh my God! This is going a lot longer than I thought. That's what she said. 545 pounds. Wow.
Come on now.
All right, come
Come
on.
on now.
This is it. This is it.
Burrito.
Go, Jerry. Let's go. Let's go.
Easy. Through the floor.
Let's go, Jared. Come on.
No.
Can't do it.
Chris.
Nice try, brother. Nice shot.
Chris.
Ain't gonna lie. Can't do it.
Nice shot. Nice work.
Yeah.
Sorry for
you got it.
disappointing, Jerry.
No.
That's insane.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
With Jerry unable to get the bar off the floor, it's all up to Chris to give the teens the early lead.
Come on.
Some heavy ass weight, man.
So after event number 1 rep max deadlift, I mean, the teens, Chris, you lifted it higher, so 1 point for the teens. Event number 2 is the Boxer arcade game. So the team with the highest total score is gonna win the event. Now the teens are up 1-0, which means they are 1 point closer to winning $4,000 for their team. So $1,000 each,
Whoa.
okay?
Boys, we're playing for.
You better punch this. Now we're
This
locking
has
it.
made things.
You better lock it.
You guys won, so are you guys gonna go first or you want them to go first?
I would say let's let them go first.
All right, who's up?
Go, Jordan.
All right, let's go. Come on, Jordan.
When I'm ready.
Whenever you're ready, just send it.
Now with both teams knowing $4,000 is on the line, things just got a lot more serious.
Oh.
Nice. Right on.
657.
Right on.
That's pretty
Out of
good.
point.
Thought it would have been better.
Okay. Teens. Who's up?
You wanna go? G, you going?
I don't think I need to tell the dads this, but for the teens, it's not about how hard you hit it, it's how you hit it.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
You'll learn one day.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Come on, let's go, Gianluca.
Come on, G.
Oh.
That was actually hard. That sounded hard.
freaking. Oh my God. Who's up next?
Hit that. Let's go.
Okay, so, I mean, if you spank your kid, you can go open palm if you want.
Can I?
Yeah, you can go. Want to go open palm?
big
You can-
open-
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Oh. Oh.
That's all right.
Okay,
That's
600
okay.
is good.
That's okay.
Okay. All right, who's up next?
I'll go next.
All right,
All
let's
right.
go,
Come on,
Ethan.
Ethan.
Okay.
Got tattoo, but he knows what he's doing.
Oh, that sounded
That
good.
was a good
That
one.
sounded good. Oh.
It's that easy, man.
Pretty early on, it seemed like the teens had much more punching power and were gonna run away with this event.
You're a cop, so you're used to getting kind of physical if you need to.
Need me.
Okay. Come on. Let's go. Woo. Let's go.
Southpaw. No.
Oh.
Bring it up.
Yeah, baby. Yeah,
Bring
baby.
it up.
You don't want to resist arrest with this guy. 822. Shh.
All right.
Come on, Ethan.
Come on.
Let's go, Ethan. Come on.
That was dangerous.
That was
That sounded worse
660.
than what it was.
Okay, that did sound worse.
With the dads being 58 points behind the teens, Jerry needs a monster score here to keep them in contention.
Jeez.
Look at it go. Oh. 827.
Let's go. There we go.
On this punch, Chris needs to score 770 or higher to give the teens a 2-0 lead.
This is a big punch. This is a big punch.
This means a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Come on, Chris.
Come on.
I got distracted.
By what? How? What?
Chris scuffing the punch, it's now all tied up at 1.
It's tied 1-1. Event number 3, 1 rep max bench press. Teens, who are you sending out? John Luca?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, dads. Oh, Dre.
The man.
Okay.
The man.
Cop versus teen. Okay, so we're gonna start at 135 and just work our way up. First one to tap out. Let's go.
Nothing. Nothing.
Atta boy,
Nice little
Dre.
pause there too.
Atta boy, Dre. There you go.
It's a narrow grip, son.
Dre's got the idea. Atta boy, Dre.
Nice. There we go. Okay. How do you guys feel about that bar speed?
Little shaky.
a little shaky?
Little shaky.
Okay.
Little shaky.
Textbook bench press setup here. There it is.
Atta boy, Dre.
Okay.
Atta boy, Dre.
There we go. All right, John Luca. What's your PR on the bench?
Probably 275.
Let's go. Come on.
Let's go. Push. Get it.
Nice. There we go. That looks
Nice.
better than 225.
Let's go. Let's go.
Atta boy, Dre. Atta boy, Dre.
265.
265 then. No wrist wraps yet either?
He really wants to put the wrist straps
No,
in. man.
no. Don't
Dre
need
wants
that.
to go raw, man. That's why he's a dad.
Yeah.
Don't screw up like Chris. Don't let the team down like Chris. Come on, you got this. Your parents are gonna watch this video and they're not gonna let you back in the house. You know that, right? Let's go. Come on.
Go.
Get it. Up,
Go.
Up. Oh. Okay.
Nice.
There we go.
Atta boy, Dre.
This is gonna be a PR for you potentially, or a tie a PR.
No wrap PR, yeah. Can I get a minute?
You get a minute, yeah. The teens need to have a break. They need to have the time off at the.
It's the way of the generations these days. Hey, I just don't want to work hard.
This is my shot to give you guys more rest too, you know? It goes both ways.
No, we need the $1,000.
So what are you guys talking about over here? What are you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? Gambling. Gambling. What do you mean gambling? What?
We're gonna turn that 4,000 to 8,000.
No. They're gonna take the money to the casino right after this if they win.
Okay.
They have to make it out of the parking lot. We just saw how he punches. We just saw how he punches.
Up! There it is. Let's go. Nice.
There we go.
Nice job. Let's go, Dre. Come on. Come on, let's go.
Come on, Dre. Come on, channel dad
Lightweight,
strength.
Dre.
Dad strength.
Lightweight,
Let's go.
lightweight.
Let's go. Come on.
Eat that for
Let's go.
Eat that for breakfast.
Easy.
Let's go.
Go, 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 go.
Let's go.
Atta boy.
285 pounds on the bar. Remember what we're playing for here.
I think he knows he's not gonna be able to
1,000 each, 500 each for
beat
you guys.
that.
Instantly access your wife, right? Is that how
It
that
looked
works?
like he was kind of struggling a tad
This is
bit.
a PR for
I'm not
you.
gonna
This
lie.
is a PR, yes. 285.
But also, I wasn't
Alright.
watching this dude earlier, so.
Come on.
Let's go.
With John Luca grinding out that last rep, the dads need this to stay alive and get one step closer to $4,000.
You got it, Dre. You got it.
Wait, did my boss die? Lol. No, I knew it.
It's okay. That's okay, Dre. No worries, buddy. No worries, man.
Dre failed the 285 bench, so the teens have taken a 2-1 lead.
Let's do this.
Groceries, yeah, exactly. Costco runs. I don't know for you guys. I don't know like what this would be.
I got strong forearms.
This event is all about being strategic in the order the team goes.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
Wait, they have to race? I would hate that.
Oh, this is close. This is close.
At the beginning, it looked like the dads had a really good lead, but as the dumbbells got heavier, it started to change.
Come on.
Come on, come on. You got it, Jerry. You got it.
Jesus.
Let's go, Chris.
Come on, Chris.
Oh, they're all like taking turns?
Come on, fight it, fight it, fight it, fight it, fight it. Go! Let's go.
Boys,
It's all good.
I got eaten up there.
The teens won it. The teens are up 3-1.
Even though the teens are up 3-1, they shouldn't be too comfortable, as it's still anyone's game.
Event number 5, last man standing push-ups. So we're gonna see who can last the longest here. So you're gonna go up and down on my count. Okay, so everybody in positions, let's go. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
We're touching chest to the floor, no?
Yeah, we are. Up, down, up, down,
Aside from going down too early, both sides started off pretty strong.
down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Neither side looked like they were gonna budge.
Down. Up. Wow, this is impressive. Holy shit. Down. Up.
But it didn't take long for form to start breaking down.
Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Ooh, down.
First one man out.
Up. Ethan's struggling at the front there. Down. Up. So we've lost one from each. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Oh. Down. Up. John Luca, I don't know about that, buddy. Down. Up.
Chest on the floor.
Down.
Half over there.
Up. Down. Up. We're down 2 each team. There's 2 left. Come on. Down.
With 2 people on each team left, the dads really need to lock in and win this, because if they lose, then it's over.
Down. Up.
Get up there.
Oh, Chris, it's up to you, man. You don't want to scuff the push-up now, do you? Down.
Body to hold.
Up. Jordan, how do you feel? How do you feel right now? You feel great.
Nah, it's pretty good.
You're good?
I haven't started counting yet.
Yeah. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up.
Jerry's getting tired. That's a name, right?
Down. Up.
Damn.
Down.
Am I missing some?
Jordan literally looks like he hasn't even started yet. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down.
Where the fuck?
Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up.
Get those hips up. Come on. Come on.
After scuffing the punch earlier, it seemed like Chris was determined to not let his team down.
Up. Wow, this is he got a second win here. Down.
Oh, they're all. Wait.
Up.
Oh,
Down.
I was tripping, dog.
Down. Down. Dads win, let's go!
Damn.
There you go. I have no idea how many that was. That had to be over 100. That had to be over 100.
I felt my
55.
shoulders at the end.
Dude, you're a fucking heavy boy, man. That's a lot of weight, man. Good for you. Good for you. Literally, I'm 155 pounds, man. You probably have 50 pounds on me. That's impressive.
Teens have 3 points, the dads have 2 points, and it all comes down to the final event, event number 6, Tug of War. It's a best 2 of 3, which means that this event is worth 3 points. So remember, $4,000 is on the line here. So it all comes down to this. You guys got to pull like the mortgage is on the line.
Fucking it is on the line.
And I mean, these guys, I think they outweigh you a little bit, but just work as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work, okay? So the first team that clears the donut shirt past their pylon wins.
If I yell now, just run backwards.
3, 2, 1, go.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, they're working as a team.
What started as just a fun YouTube video suddenly became so much more for the dads. That extra money actually meant something.
$1,000 right now, we're doing really well with a lot of expenses, cost of living going up and all that stuff. Go a long, long way for us.
$1,000 would mean to me food, diapers. I got 4 kids to take care of, man.
Obviously, we'll go to my family, and even $1,000, $500 would go a long way with my mortgage.
It's basically free money, dog.
School training to be a firefighter. So honestly, the first thing I'd do with my money would be go home and probably give half to my wife for like all the, what she's given up for me.
As for the teens, not so much.
You know what? Christmas is coming up. Gotta get the vodka. Gotta get the cycle back on. I guess like I could pay off some of my school loans. I could do a cycle. Trend. I don't know if that's on trend. Yeah.
Probably put it directly on red and hope that it hits.
25 leg parlay.
Now, let's go. Now, go. 1, 2, 3. Oh.
What?
Okay, teens take game 1.
Okay, so we got to do that.
That was really
do that.
close. That was
gotta do
really
that
close.
first.
Chris, you guys seem to have like a really good strategy here. What was it?
So 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Everyone at the same time.
Being
Teamwork.
in sync plays a massive.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
So you guys feeling confident going into the next one?
Oh yeah.
Can't get too confident, job's not finished,
I like that. So what's going on here?
We just got to do what they did first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We outweigh them, so if we do it first,
Yeah.
we're going to get the momentum.
Come on. All right, guys. I love it. I love it. Generation's getting primal here. This is everything right here. This could be the game for the teens. Come on, dads. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, go.
The dads had the advantage in weight, but the teens, they moved like a unit, perfectly in sync, making it very difficult to keep up with.
1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3,
Let's go.
There you go, man. Teens. Yeah, you
All right. Good job, boys. Good job, boys. Nice job, boys.
Good game.
Good work, fellas.
That was close. That was
Good game,
close.
man. Awesome.
All right, it was a hard-fought battle. The teens pulled through. I mean, no one thought you guys were going to win the tug of war, but I mean, you guys
All
worked
right.
as a team and you guys earned it. So, the teens win.
Let's go.
Boo.
Thanks to Myth.
Find out what car they drive.
Did you match now?
8, 9, 10. You still won when you scuffed the punch. Too.
I told you, redemption.
Wow.
There
Thank
you
you.
go, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You want to send a message out there to the dads?
Stay young. Eat your vegetables.
If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check this one out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
What? The dads don't get a last say or nothing? Whatever.
Eric Chaos a bit.
Hush.
Story recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a horror and thriller film called Eden Lake. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. A nursery school teacher named Jenny Greengrass works at the local daycare and is fond
What
of
the
kids.
fuck is her name?
She has
Jenny
a boyfriend named
Greengrass?
Steve Taylor. While waiting for
That
her
sounds
to end
like
class,
a-
he looks at the
like
ring
a
he plans to
musician's
propose
name.
to her inside his car. They excitedly plan on having a trip to the countryside, where Steve plans to have a romantic proposal. The drive is long, and the sun even sets before they could arrive. Steve is unsure of the way, making him rely
Do
on
you
the
know the
GPS.
way?
Before arriving at a pub, they notice that the locals do not practice proper road etiquette and are rude. The following day, they arrive at Eden Lake, a gated community in the middle of the woods. The place used to be a public park before real estate took over. Deeper into the woods, Steve and Jenny finally see a majestic view overlooking the whole town. They grab their bags to find a spot where they could chill. A young and timid boy named Adam gathers insects, and Jenny approaches him to say hello. However, the boy is reluctant to talk to them because they are strangers, so they continue to look for the lake. The couple arrives at a serene lake, where they plan on having a good time. They bask in the sun while cuddling with each other. Not long after, two boys arrive to drive Adam away, who is also by the lake. Jenny feels sorry for Adam after being bullied by his peers, given that she is also a teacher. She closes her eyes to take a nap while basking in the sun when a Rottweiler barks at her. Jenny gets frightened by the sight of the big and unfriendly dog, which is at a dangerous distance from her. Their relaxation is disrupted because of the delinquent teenagers that have overtaken their peaceful spot. When Steve goes for a dip, the dog barks at Jenny once again, so he confronts the teenagers about it. He asks the group to turn their music down, but they refuse to do so. Instead, their leader, Brett, disrespectfully claps words back. Other members are Cooper, Harry, Ricky, Mark, and Paige. Steve stubbornly decides that he would stay put, enduring their loud music and obnoxious dog, then be bullied by them into leaving. One of them even checks Jenny out using binoculars, so she covers herself out of being uncomfortable. Before the unruly teenagers leave, Brett flashes his private parts. Steve sets up the tent while Jenny gathers wood for their overnight stay. She hears rustling noises from a distance but disregards them. The couple enjoys their time in the campfire that night, but Jenny still notices the sound coming from the woods. She lets Steve know about it, but he assures her that it's nothing to be concerned about. While having an intimate moment together, the noises still bother Jenny, so Steve goes outside to look.
Fuck that.
After some time, he stops answering Jenny's calls, which makes her a bit scared, but Steve just plays a prank on her. In the morning, they realize that insects have infested their food, and they have no choice but to grab food someplace else.
Ew.
Upon leaving, Steve runs over an empty bottle that the teenagers left behind, but he manages to fix the tire, and they now set off for town. When they arrive, the teenagers pass in front of them on their bikes. A bit annoyed, Steve loses his cool, so he tries to follow them.
Oh, jeez.
They visit the diner where Steve asks the waitress about the group of kids, but she only laughs at them. He asks if she knows the parents of the kids by any chance, but she gets strangely defensive and says, "Not my kids." After their breakfast, Steve spots several bicycles outside a house and thinks it belongs to the teenagers. Curiously, he stops the car, and Jenny pleads with him not to make the situation worse as it is not worth it. However, he is determined to teach the kids a lesson. The house is open, so he enters uninvited to check if anyone is home.
Calm the fuck down.
In a matter of minutes, the owner arrives, who also happens to be Brett's father. He gets into a foul mood after calling for his son, thinking that he is inside the room. Steve manages to narrowly escape through the window before the owner sees him. He hurries to the car, and Jenny drives back to the lake after the thrilling incident. They swim together in the lake, and Steve decides to go scuba diving while Jenny sleeps on the shore. When he gets back, finding the perfect time to propose to Jenny, they realize that their bag containing their phone, wallet, and car keys is missing. They hurriedly run to the car and find out that it's gone. Without any choice, the couple decides to walk to town on foot.
Oh no.
Steve becomes more agitated as they walk farther, with a growing desire for revenge. They avoid collision with their car as the group drives it recklessly in the woods. Brett stops for a brief second, only to smirk at the couple. At night, they see the group by a campfire unsupervised by any adults. Steve approaches to demand the return of their belongings, but they deny having any idea of their whereabouts. In a timely manner, Steve hears his ringtone, which is the moment he loses his cool. He attacks Brett, but the other knife-wielding members bring him down. During the brawl, Brett's dog gets mortally knifed. Brett throws the keys while grieving the death of his dog. Jenny grabs the keys, and they run to the car. The group decides to run after them and throw rocks at the car, which stops because of a slope. The group approaches the vehicle to attack the couple. They break the lights and the windows, but Steve manages to drive away. The darkness and the unclear driveway cause the car to crash into a pile of woods. Steve gets trapped because of a branch. Jenny tries to help him but is unable to move it.
I hate this
Jenny is
dude.
forced to run for help because of Steve's injuries and entrapment. She hides upon hearing the group and spends the night there. Meanwhile, Brett tracks down Steve and forces himself inside the car by breaking the window. At daybreak, Jenny sees Steve's shoes, suspecting that he is in danger. She is highly concerned about her boyfriend. She follows the tracks and finds him tied with barbed wire, all bloody and injured. She panics as help is far away, and the signal is terrible. Brett and his friends are responsible for torturing her boyfriend. Steve begs the kids to let him go, but Brett is insistent on getting revenge for his dog. Harry attempts to calm Brett and encourage him to let Steve go, but he only receives a sermon from their leader. Brett commands to put some cuts on Steve as Paige documents the torturous moment. The group takes turns inflicting harm on Steve, causing more wounds on him. Jenny watches the whole incident and is helplessly crying as she hides. She realizes that they are about to kill him, so she uses the Bluetooth on her GPS to connect with Steve's phone. She calls 999 to get help, but Brett notices and gets under the impression that Jenny must be close by. It allows Jenny to reveal herself and let the group chase her while Steve has the chance to free himself despite the pain. The teenagers ride their bikes through the forest chasing her, but she manages to evade them by using a log to make their bikes crash. She gets away and runs to Steve's rescue when she comes across a small mobile home. A radio phone lies inside the home, but it is too out of her reach. She struggles to reach for it as the teenagers get to the place as well. Without any present hiding place, Jenny manages to climb to the roof and hide before one of the members could get a hold of her. Ricky goes back to where they tied Steve and is surprised to know that he had fled. He informs Brett, so the group is on the run again, but this time, to look for Steve. As Steve opens the car door, the safety alarm goes off, causing a noise loud enough for everyone to hear. Alerted by the sound, the group finds out that one of their targets is near the car. Jenny finally reunites with Steve after almost being hit by him, thinking that she is one of the members.
No way.
She helps Steve run as far as they could, but his wounds look fatal. They end up in a small cabin where she attempts to nurse his injuries, but he is sure that his wounds will be the end of him. While attending to Steve's wounds, Jenny finds an engagement ring. Meanwhile, the group tracks down the cabin, and as they open it, they only see the first aid kit with Steve's blood all over the place. Jenny manages to hide under the cabin, submerged in water. She holds Steve, who is now in a very critical condition, hearing the teenagers come up with a plan to get them. After the group flees, she drags Steve's body on land, where she lays him down. Jenny dramatically says yes to his proposal before running for help. She accidentally steps on a big spike. She screams because of the extreme pain and catches the group's attention. She crawls to a hidden space to remove the spike that is deep on her foot, but she has no choice but to endure the pain. She lays down for a second to regain her strength when she sees someone standing by. Adam finds her and decides to walk with her to safety. Jenny tries to borrow Adam's phone, but he refuses to lend it to her despite her desperate pleas. It reveals that Adam's intention to help is completely the opposite. He has texted the group of their whereabouts, putting Jenny in great danger. One of the members knocks her unconscious. Jenny wakes up in horror, seeing herself tied to a tree beside Steve's lifeless body. They plan on burning them, and some of the members are hesitant about doing so. Jenny's fears are coming closer, leaving her without any course of action. Brett forces Adam to light a match and throw it onto the tree drenched in gasoline. According to Brett, Adam will be accepted in the group when he lights them on fire. Tired of feeling left out and bullied, he follows their condition. Steve's body is burned first, while Paige films it. In a sinister way, Brett gets giddy at the sight of it and jumps in celebration. Adam tries to flee the scene, but the members get a hold of him at that instant. Because of the fire, the rope tied to Jenny slowly burns. This gives her a perfect chance to run away. Brett tries to get to her, but she holds a torch against him. She pours over the gasoline and burns the ground to stop Brett from running after her. Adam is used as bait for Jenny to come back, but she ignores his cries for help. Upon running further, she witnesses Adam being burned alive by Brett and his group. Jenny continuously finds her way out with a trail map after breaking a glass that secures it. As she hears the group come nearer, she hides in a trash bin despite the disgusting smell. She endures the unpleasant scent for the sake of survival. She sees two members outside, looking for any signs of her, but they eventually go away.
They're dumb.
Jenny exits the bin and gets a piece of broken glass for self-defense. She sees Cooper from a mirror and stabs him on the neck.
Nice.
As he bleeds to death, Jenny holds him, realizing that Cooper was attempting to help her escape. Regret fills her mind. Never in her life did she think that she could harm anyone, much more a kid. That night, the group finds Cooper's lifeless body, which triggers them to seek vengeance even more. The sight of it throws Brett into more rage, as Harry cries beside Cooper and blames their leader for everything. He begins to call someone on his phone, prompting Brett to beat him despite his cries, and he eventually dies brutally. Paige runs off, terrified by Brett's seemingly uncontrollable behavior.
Is that the dude from
Jenny
Dog
finally
Pound?
reaches the road, where a car passes by. She stops in the middle and begs the driver to let her in, so he does. Jenny finds out that the driver is actually the brother of Ricky, who is one of the members. She panics and steals the van while he calls for Ricky. In a fit of vengeful rage, she runs over Paige intentionally without any remorse, causing the teenage girl to die. To avoid collision with another car, she makes a turn, and ends up crashing the van into a fence at a backyard party, and collapses after asking for help. Jenny gains consciousness and sees middle-aged strangers comforting her. She realizes that she is in Brett's house after seeing his childhood pictures on the wall. Unfortunately, the people in the room are also the parents of the members of the group who terrorized her and Steve. To escape from being around them, Jenny goes to the bathroom after saying that she feels sick. Meanwhile, a commotion is happening outside after the parents recognize the van that Jenny crashed. In case of anything bad, she gets a hold of a razor, while Brett's father forces her to open the door. She just stands back, calling the parent to kick the door open. She sees Brett outside the door before one parent attacks her. The kids have convinced the parents that Jenny and Steve are responsible for the death of some of the members. Jenny begs them to call the police, but they all plan to make her pay for what happened. Brett's father commands him to go upstairs while they deal with Jenny, who is now fearful for her life. Jenny realizes that the group's parents are just as psychotic and murderous as their kids, and they protect them from prosecution. She gets dragged outside by the parents while Brett closes his room to block her screams. He smirks at himself in the mirror before putting on Steve's sunglasses. He then continues to delete the footage from Paige's phone to hide any evidence. What was supposed to be a happy trip ended up in a tragic event, as the two lovers never even started their journey to marriage. Subscribe to watch more
Wow.
videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a
Jesus, fuck. Wow.
After claiming to be the hero of pedo victims everywhere,
I'm the friggin' pedo hunter.
Mama Max's claims ultimately unraveled, exposing him as a fraud and costing him everything. My name is Ryan, and we're going to dive into Max's downfall, one that's past the point of no return, and where he is now. Launching his channel in 2016 with a creepy video,
I'm Max.
Mama Max became widely known for his Life Sucks series, where he shared his opinions on issues like jobs, using roughly drawn stick figures to go along with what he was saying.
Because I mean, if your life is not worth living doing a job you hate, then how about you do something you want to do rather than wanting to kill yourself? You make no fucking sense if you keep working at a place that makes you hate your life.
Then, in 2019, he suddenly shifted into investigative thriller-style videos, with his first one called Kanye Quest, an online game, and featured a very deep voice similar to Corpse Husband.
I like eating things, like eating food, drinking water.
In this video, Max claimed his research linked the game to a cult.
Did you see that? When conducting an image search, the symbol leads back to several cult websites, all which go by one name: Ascensionism, a new age cult dating back to as far as 2006.
At this point, Max showed that he could piece together information and keep his audience engaged, as reflected in the dramatic jump in views from around 100,000 to over 1 million. This combination of storytelling skill and growing popularity would later become important in the next videos and the niche that he would try to take on. On November 26, 2021, Max uploaded a video about someone he claimed was a notorious PDF file involved in a PDF file ring,
where he uncovered one particularly inveterate child predator known in-game as Pablo Sonny, a pedophile with an extensive history of grooming multiple teenage girls.
only for the video to be removed by YouTube after reaching its first 1 million views for violating the platform's sex and nudity policy. Furious, Max uploaded what would become his most controversial YouTube video, titled Pick a Side YouTube, 1 month after the previous video was banned. In it, he accused the platform of siding with PDF files.
You take down our shit and continue to help absolutely no one besides the evil people we are trying to expose, and the survivors continue to scream in agonizing silence.
Max also vowed to gather influencers to join him in the fight against PDF files.
If I have to start shit with every influencer in this goddamned planet just to make anyone give
Look
even
how
a
that
single
worked.
fuck, so be it. I'd rather have the whole world hate me than ever hear a child's voice being silenced again. I'm gonna have to upset all of my fellow creators and make a goddamn disaster out of you, YouTube, because you never do anything until we start squeezing your balls.
On his Twitter account, Max tagged many, including Keemstar, Moist Critical, and Corpse Husband, and Keemstar was the first to respond.
But it's time for YouTube to push back and get these videos monetized and support creators that are literally trying their best to out this information to protect the site, protect the community, and protect the YouTube community and make this all a safe and better place. You got to see that video. YouTube.
Oh,
Pick a side on YouTube.
And he didn't just want influencers involved in the fight, but his viewers as well.
Children, the links are in the description. I kindly ask you to come with me to make a fucking mess for the second time. I want you to pace this bitch until the world is nauseous from looking at it. I want you to drown out every trending topic so that even something like Spider-Man looks like a microscopic speck of dust compared to us. And by the end of the night, I want Twitter to be a shitstorm.
And many users on Twitter came out in support of Max's cause. By this point, it may have dawned on Max that this was his niche all along, and that this was his calling, to save victims and would-be victims of abuse from predators.
It's true though. It's the truth. I'm the friggin' pedo hunter.
With the support of influencers and his group of online investigators, Max formed what he saw as an anti-pedo Avengers team.
We don't like pedophiles. Something you don't seem to see eye to eye with us on YouTube.
In his videos, he was now on a mission to investigate PDF files and take steps to stop them, even if it meant simply scaring them off.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Would you like to see? Have you ever seen? So you want to show my?
Yeah, I want to see you.
Okay.
But until then, I hope my phone calls have instilled enough fear in them to make them back off.
Or even bait these supposed pedos into revealing themselves and then reporting them to the FBI.
Can you see me now?
I can see the top of your head.
There you are. Start running. We ditched the call after successfully extracting his personal information. We have verified that he is overage and confirmed that he made an attempt to sexually exploit a minor. As I do, and I have done with every single predator, I immediately make a report to the FBI.
For many fans, this meant a lot. Max, I was a child victim and there was nobody to protect me. I'm 50 years old now and I still suffer from the effects. My attacker was protected by his family and never faced justice. Please continue what you do and know that you are my hero. I love how Max is just smiling throughout most of the call like I'm about to end this man's whole career. However, this moment of praise would not last, as what seemed like a noble cause soon led Max into one controversy after another until there was no room left for his career to grow. Right after Max tagged Moist Critical to join his #TakeAside YouTube campaign, Charlie released a video explaining why he chose not to take a part, only to be labeled as pro PDF file by some people.
I think the pick aside children or pedophiles is extremely goofy and distorts the actual message of his video. The message of his video is very much YouTube censors dark content. They unfairly treat people who investigate serious things. So the message gets totally distorted and it just creates a hostile environment where people fight each other, even though everyone's on the same side. It just causes all of this infighting, because when people point this out that like, hey, this isn't the most effective Twitter trend to get the message across, they're immediately labeled pro-pedophilia. Everyone agrees with the message of the Mama Max video, but disagrees that it needs to be painted as a kids versus pedophiles issue, because that doesn't actually encapsulate the problem.
But many people know that Charlie has always been openly against PDF files.
I'm gonna say what others are too afraid to say. Pedophilia is bad. Thank you, thank you. I know. Hey, someone had to say it. Someone had to come in and put their foot down and say, enough is enough, you know?
Charlie's take on the campaign pointed out Max's early weaknesses, as it failed to create a storm as Max planned. And after this, more and more weaknesses in Max's approach began to show, leading to several long YouTube breakdowns, many running over an hour. In fact, the first video that put Max under the spotlight wasn't criticizing his pedo hunting approach, nor a personal feud. It was an expose by Magnetar YT, where Anthony, the boyfriend of Max's former best friend Haley, who uploaded a now unlisted video on YouTube. It featured Haley herself and two exes, Lucy and Olivia, speaking out about the person Max really was behind his public image as a noble pedo hunter.
There are many reports to the police on my behalf because of this. It took me several years to admit that I had a problem. I've been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety as a direct result of being held against my will in that hotel room.
We stayed there actually the night before going to Six Flags itself, where that is where he assaulted me.
And he threw it at me. He just kept throwing shit at me. In the webcam, he threw it so hard that it broke, like, in half.
A stalker, a sexual assaulter, and a violent person, Max appeared very different from the hero he portrayed in his videos. In fact, while he was so adamant about condemning anyone who interacted inappropriately with minors, he had actually dated Lucy while she was still underage.
I dated Mama Max when I was a minor at 17, from 2016 to 2018.
2 years older than her, Max even spoke sexually about Lucy with fans of the relationship, showing how much of a pervert he was. He was also reportedly aggressive with his girlfriends, pressuring them into sex, as he did with Olivia.
But the biggest red flag was when I was on my period and he was trying to convince me to go rubberless, I guess. And he was saying that you can't get pregnant on your period. Like, let's just do it. You can't get pregnant on your period. I was like, that just seems a little wrong.
While it's true that people can behave differently in their personal life than in the work they are passionate about, this was the moment Max began to be seen for who he truly was, someone who enjoyed accusing others without solid proof.
At some point prior, he also accused Anthony of sending photos to a minor who was an old friend and who also happened to be Max's sister's best friend at the time that Max made the claim.
After he left, maybe like a couple days later, he told everyone I cheated on him, which I never ever cheated on him. He called me, he kept spam calling me, and this is when I started working at Walmart. When we first started dating and he was like love bombing me and shit, he was telling me about how horrible Lucy was and about how horrible Haley was. And he told me him and Haley dated, which Haley told me they never did, so.
Early on, Max displayed a pattern that would later define his videos, treating unverified allegations as evidence. But because Magnetar's video came out unexpectedly and challenged Max at the time when he was still considered a hero for pedo victims, Magnetar faced massive backlash from Max's fans that almost made Magnetar get into the point where he was considering committing suicide. There was no saving Magnetar at the time. It would take a year and a half before his claims were substantiated by the first whistleblow exposing Max's fake pedo hunt videos, revealing the connection between his personal behavior and his YouTube persona. In January 2024, Mudahar, Max's friend, uploaded a video titled "Max is a Complete Fraud," which gained over 3 million views. The 1-hour-long video revealed a detailed account of how Max had allegedly faked everything, including a Discord call where Max was caught lying to Mudahar and Nicholas Diorio, a fellow content creator who had previously covered Max and was also Max's friend. When asked by Nicholas,
how much of what you do is kayfabe and how much of it is legitimately, like, live, this is the investigation, here it is?
Max responded,
the investigations themselves are real, but obviously the films have fictional elements. I am presenting it as if it were to be real, but I didn't think people would take it as that. Like,
but wait, you hunt pedophiles. You don't think that people are going to think your videos are real?
So that's the thing. So I want everyone, when you watch my video, to assume everything is fake, except like when I show a face and what they're doing.
The response was confusing, to say the least. For a long time, Max had presented his videos as very serious, making strong claims against alleged PDFs and even showing their faces, while repeatedly stating that he was risking his life to seek justice for the victims.
I just want kids to be safe. It breaks my goddamn heart to see so many stories from the survivors of child exploitation that reach out to me. All of them without their parents even knowing what the hell was happening to them.
In fact, when looking at his earlier videos, he portrayed himself as having foolproof methods for identifying supposed pedos, being able to uncover their identities, personal details, and photos within minutes, which supposedly could have brought him one step closer to delivering justice.
So I act under the guise of an agent from the Microsoft security team and text the phone number that was given to me by the bounty hunter. I say that there's been a potential cyber attack on his account, and I ask him to confirm his username. I f***ing found you.
And in December 29, 2021, 4 days after launching the Pick a Side YouTube campaign, he claimed in an interview with Nicholas he already had real results against a specific predator named Pablo Sunny.
The rapist that was in the video is currently in police custody. And
was that as a result of your video, or was that prior to the video?
Yes, it was because of the video. The video was about IMVU and this one predator. I made it about him and him alone.
However, during the Discord call in Mudahar's video, when asked by Nicholas,
have you ever gotten someone arrested? You went on my podcast to tell me that you've got someone arrested and it was because of your video, just to be clear.
Max revealed that he had never actually brought justice to anyone.
If I have, then I don't know it. I've been emailed stuff like, hey, you got this guy arrested, congratulations.
You went on and you said, this guy was arrested, it was because of me, it was because of my video. And you told me that 2 years ago.
Max appeared to completely forget about the supposed arrest of Pablo Sonny, raising serious doubts about whether it had ever happened in the first place.
Pablo Sonny? I don't think so. I think he got away.
Dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, if he was arrested, I have no idea.
Why did you tell me he was arrested? You said Pablo Sonny was arrested and my video did it. Why did you lie to me on my show?
You have a clip of that?
Yes. It's in something I've been currently editing.
Yeah, send it to me.
After Nicholas played back on Max's own words from that 2021 interview, Max suddenly remembered, but then defended himself with an excuse.
So you lied.
So that was what I was told through Instagram posts when I was in contact with his friends.
You didn't remember that until I showed you the clip? You didn't remember that, like, this is your biggest crown achievement, that you got a pedophile arrested?
At this point, Mudahar's whistleblow went even further, as Max also exposed himself in the Discord call that his so-called legal framework from all of his pedo hunting came from ChatGPT.
You know, if I make a video on this, this is what I have to work with. How do you honestly think I can take your side? Logically, if tomorrow I was like, oh, where's Max getting his legal definitions? Oh, ChatGPT. By the way, ChatGPT has also been getting dumber over the last few months. We'll read it together.
ChatGPT understands the legal system.
Because of Mudahar's video, many of Max's fans looked back at his older content and began noticing repeated inconsistencies, realizing that much of it was centered on presenting himself as the hero. What really irked me about Max and made me unsubscribe was how his recent videos were filled with weird artistic editing and spooky cult imagery, and then only like 3 minutes of it were actually dedicated to the victims and the situation at hand. It felt like it was much more about him and his ever-growing hero complex than it was ever about bringing a predator to justice. True enough, instead of covering the issue in a professional way, Max forced suspense through random spooky visuals rather than letting the facts speak for themselves.
Today, a survivor of child abuse reached out to me. They say there's a site crawling with predators. You and I are gonna find them, pry them.
Beyond the visuals, his scripts also focused on a lot of strong emotions, talking about how hurt and angry he felt for the victims, and used very dramatic language about what he wanted to do to the people he accused, which felt over the top instead of calm and factual.
I feel defeated.
Did he make this?
One more enemy to deal with. I will destroy your high places, cut down your incense altars, and cast your carcasses on the lifeless forms of your idols, and my soul shall abhor you.
And with that, another issue came to light, the Camden cult. In late 2023, Max uploaded a now deleted video about Camden Gerard Davis, whom he described as the leader of an organized cult that targeted children and young adults.
The man had recruited hundreds of young children, subjecting them to sending CP, assault, and attempted trafficking.
In this video, Max made extremely serious allegations about Camden, claims that were presented rapidly and almost glossed over. Mudahar covered this in the same whistleblower video and commented on how unprofessionally it was presented.
He talks about Camden. Now here, Max gives full names, plays loud music, and again, I have to frame by frame analyze, which, for a serious topic like this, please stop the theatrics. Present this with the respect it deserves.
Despite the seriousness of these accusations, the rest of Max's video failed to properly support them. Instead, the video leaned heavily into suspenseful theatrics, with screenshots presented as evidence flashing on screen for less than a second at a time, which Mudahar said made it nearly impossible for viewers to verify what Max was actually claiming, and even when Mudahar reviewed the footage frame by frame, the claims still did not add up.
What is the context here? How does this explain the cult? How does this explain anything? This is why people are mad. He is presenting these screenshots like they're damning evidences, and they are not. Please present it seriously. Leave this on for people to digest and provide context to what you're showing.
Despite the lack of clear verifiable proof, Max went on to call for major YouTubers to publicly condemn Camden, or at least bring attention to the situation. In fact, Max had previously contacted YouTubers like Mudahar himself to cover his Camden cult project as a way to support his video. This video is designed to be a trap for reaction channels. We would be honored if you would consider covering it in a thoughtful manner. He also reached out to Charlie, suddenly becoming aggressive and spamming him. And when Charlie didn't respond, Max threatened that he had the power to simply cancel him.
I could literally cancel you, Charlie. I could literally cancel you. And I choose not to.
What the f...
It's true though. It's the truth. Like, I'm the friggin' pedo hunter.
Marking the second time Charlie was caught up in a controversy with Max since the Pick a Side YouTube campaign. However, Charlie quickly addressed the situation with another calm and non-dramatic response.
We talked like a month ago about like what he was working on in his investigation. Apparently, when I had COVID, he messaged me a couple times and I never saw it, and now he's taken that as me ghosting him and ignoring his very important mission.
By this point, it seemed like the Camden cult issue was driven by Max's hunger for support and clout. Like many of his other videos, it framed an alleged predator and cult leader through stylized editing, rather than taking any concrete steps towards justice or accountability. And with that, viewers played into the fakeness of Max's claims about Camden, especially now that Mudahar had exposed him as a liar. Some dude on Fiverr got paid $5 to roar with fake vampire teeth for Max and is now a cult leader. However, Max stood by his claims largely because one of the alleged victims of Camden, a woman named Spencer, served as the sole testimony supporting his story.
Yeah, he was into some weird shit. He would sit there and bite me all the time, saying that he needed to bite me for my transformation, because at that point, when I was living with him, I was supposed to be a werewolf instead of a vampire. And then later on, he changed it to I was both.
While having someone to back up your claims can be a starting point for evidence, it's not sufficient on its own. As Mudahar put it,
but let's not ignore that serious allegations require very serious pieces of evidence to corroborate them. We cannot work off of testimony alone. Had Max provided evidence about this, then it would be all okay and gravy. But in this situation, he hasn't done that.
For some fans, it was also important to further corroborate both Max's and Spencer's claims, but these efforts did not produce any more proof. In addition to the lack of supporting material in Max's videos, online investigators noted that screenshots of accounts attributed to Camden often lack usernames or searchable metadata, leading them to suggest that the narrative may have been dramatized production created for online engagement. Some even theorized that Spencer might have been in on the fake story all along. Viewers also noticed inconsistencies in Spencer's background. Max and Spencer also claimed to have only met due to the situation, but in another video/stream mentioned knowing each other since childhood. 3 miscarriages in 4 months, orange juice and cinnamon abortions, the fact that she states she found kids for Camden to groom. Taken together, it's clear that Max was more focused on creating suspenseful content to get views rather than on pursuing real cases or genuinely seeking justice for victims of PDF files. He even went as far as to collaborate with someone to fabricate a story online just to attract millions of views. Another perspective, however, is that his motivation wasn't just views, but also about making money. With all the information out now about Max, his further videos confirmed much of what we know about him today. In 2019, he uploaded a video about Om Shinrikyo, a cult in Japan, claiming he was doing the public a favor by bringing attention to the continuing existence of this old cult, while also putting himself at risk.
I am disgusted by what I'm seeing, and unfortunately, in telling you all of this, I may have just made myself a target to this cult, as they are still very much alive today, now going by the name of Aleph.
But he said he didn't mind.
Because I'm not gonna live a life being afraid of standing up to evil people. Plus, I got all of you watching my back, don't I?
At the time, this earned him respect from fans. This dude literally made himself a target for a death cult and doesn't care. I think we found the true MVP, a genuine legend. However, in hindsight, something seemed sketchy, like his usual mention of his Patreon.
You can watch my back real good by supporting me on Patreon. Link in description.
And the question of how a cult in Japan, most of whose members were already dead, with only sympathizers left, could possibly care about a guy like Max. For critics, this was laughable.
It's been nearly 4 years since he dropped this video, and conveniently ever since, Mama Max hasn't gotten any word from the Japanese cult since this. Weird coincidence. I guess he got enough Patreon cash to keep him nice and safe.
Looking back now, it appears Max was collecting money from viewers to support what he framed as noble efforts to catch PDF files. In fact, Mutahar later exposed that Max was making a decent amount of money through Patreon.
You've also built a Patreon where your last reported figure was over 1,800 members. Just the minimum amount, $7.50 Canadian, which is around a little over $5. Let's make it 5 even. You're looking at a minimum paid earning potential before taxes and Patreon fees of $16,705 just for the peak month.
Yet considering that he had not made any arrests, many began to question where that money was really going. This became even more concerning when it was revealed that at one point, Max wasn't even paying rent, as he was living in the home of a friend, Nightdocs, who is also one of Max's strongest defenders during the Pick a Side YouTube campaign. About a month after Mutahar's video, another Max controversy surfaced, this time involving Nightdocs. In February 2024, Nicholas Diorio uploaded a video to bring the situation to light. After allowing Max to live with him rent-free, Nightdocs publicly revealed what Max had allegedly done behind the scenes.
His allegations against me range from I'm a neglectful parent to creep, that I'm a pedophile. Essentially, the one that I was most bothered by really was when he was calling me a pedophile. I opened my home to this guy. I let him live not paying a dime in rent. He didn't do any chores. He didn't pay any rent. He really didn't do anything.
And just like many of Max's claims in his pedo hunt videos, he once again failed to provide any concrete proof to support his claims about Nightdocs, damaging not only his life, but his family as well, including his children.
Much like his allegations against Anthony Field, evidence was never released by Max that would implicate Nightdocs at all. Unlike his allegation against Anthony Field, these weren't even made in a public setting.
This was just like what he had done to Anthony back when Haley was still in college, damaging both of their reputations.
When I lost all my friends, I just went away from YouTube and all that. Like, I just lost all of my self-esteem. I just felt like I was like irredeemable. There was something wrong with me that nobody would ever want to be around me, and I had no idea what it was that I did, but I was like, I'm obviously just a piece of shit.
Nicholas Diorio continued investigating to piece together the full story, and eventually spoke with Nexpo, who was mutual friends with both Max and Nightdocs. Nexpo explained that Max believed Nightdocs was a PDF file because of two claims.
So Max was convinced that Jim was this pedophile creep, and he backed up this claim with firstly a story about an inappropriate conversation that he claimed Jim had with a minor, and it involved one trip to a restaurant that he and Jim had way back when Max was living with Jim. Apparently Jim was, making moves on the waitress and, continuously hitting on her, and he just wouldn't stop, and it made this, situation or this dinner that they were at very tense and awkward.
But rather than making accusations publicly, Max allegedly spread these claims privately through Nightdog's social circle, resulting in Nexpo himself being influenced by the narrative.
Because Max kind of planted this idea in my head that, oh my god, we're associated with Jim, we have to cut Jim, we cannot be associated with someone like this, he's a pedophile, he's a creep, he's all of these things, and we can't associate with this guy.
Over time, however, especially after more information about Max came to light, Nexpo said he began to reassess the situation and recognize Max's pattern.
But yeah, that was the narrative that Max was running with. And I guess I didn't realize that he could have been, embellishing some details.
After this controversy, it became clear that Max was unraveling, damaging friendships and turning on people around him, driven by his belief that he was a PDF hunter on a mission. Eventually, the internet fully turned on Max. Some viewers even went back to Magnetar's original YouTube video, the one that started it all, to apologize for attacking him at the time. I want to sincerely apologize for running with Max's detestable narrative. I was a fan of his content at the time. I ran over here to mockingly quote his video the day it was uploaded. Once again, I want to apologize for my part in the witch hunt that he had instigated. With public opinion firmly against him, Max went silent for months before finally returning in August 2024 with a new video, noticeably toned down in theatrics, though some of his usual style remained.
Guys, I just want to talk.
In the video, he addressed the allegations against him and restated his intentions.
To ensure more kids are getting restorative justice that they deserve. And hopefully one day we can prevent crimes from happening to children at all. That is my mission.
He explained that his absence was not due to guilt alone, but because
I was simply respecting the wishes of those I was advocating for. But I am not the monstrous villain that I've been caricaturized as.
However, instead of acknowledging criticism about how his so-called PDF hunting could have been handled more responsibly or professionally, Max largely deflected.
Mass psychosis is very real, and I'm sure you all can pretty much feel it at this point. Now, people have taken my silence as an admission of guilt. That is not the case.
And viewers were quick to condemn him for that. There's a difference between mass psychosis and basic effing criticism, Max. Wow, he's so narcissistic he thinks he can mass gaslight everyone into thinking he experienced mass psychosis for confronting him on his BS. He then reiterated that what he was fighting for was a fact.
So if you take away one thing from this channel, let it be this. Crimes against children remains one of the most devastating sources of injustice and suffering for humanity.
Something that none of his critics had actually denied in their hours-long breakdowns of his actions. And in what appeared to be an attempt at a nobler comeback, he also turned the video into a fundraiser, but rather than restoring trust, this move was widely seen as another layer of theatrics. To use child exploitation as a shield is crazy actually. The video received over 15,000 dislikes. With low views and a flood of critical comments, Max soon uploaded yet another video in an attempt to salvage his image. On May 3rd, 2025, he released a nearly 2-hour-long video portraying himself as the victim and framing the situation as a personal trial.
Then the people that I trusted, the people that I looked up to, the people that I considered my best friends, they all turned on me in an attempt to protect their own reputations.
Without directly disproving the claims raised by Mudahar and Nicholas Diorio, Max announced his intention to sue Mudahar internationally for alleged damage to his reputation.
I've actually been speaking with multiple legal professionals who all seem to think we have a very solid case. And given what's happened with Karl Jobst recently, I'm pretty confident that we could sue Mudahar for a lot more than $1 million. Given the amount of damage he has caused.
Days later, he uploaded another hours-long video, seemingly to finally justify the lawsuit, given the title said it was only about Mudahar. However, he ended up sharply focusing on attacking Mudahar's credibility.
Actually, our story begins much earlier, in January of 2020, when I first met Mudahar Anas. And being a fan of his content, I really looked up to him. He loved getting drunk with the boys.
That's alcoholism.
And he would often gossip about other YouTubers, despite pretending to be friends with everyone. Afterward, we started drinking at one of the hotels, and he was talking about his self-hatred and suicidal ideations. But that only made us all the more supportive and caring of him.
And replaying Mudahar's claims without offering meaningful rebuttals, including dismissing the infamous Discord call as poorly timed.
No, we're gonna be the nicest we've ever been.
And instead, he chose to use this opportunity to bait for emotional responses, and then subsequently leaking this call to the public without our consent, breaching his NDA again, and being that I was sleep deprived and trying to defend Spencer, I let my emotions get the better of me.
No one really believed that Max was sleep deprived during that Discord call, where he just literally exposed himself as a liar. In the same video, he also devoted a large portion of time to defending his Camden cult video, the time presenting law terminologies, not using ChatGPT as a reference, but Wikipedia.
You'll probably have noticed by now he keeps using words like hard-hitting and irrefutable.
This type of evidence is called incontrovertible evidence. This type of evidence is extremely difficult to find because most evidence leaves some room for interpretation, doubt, or rebuttal.
Max then presented various forms of evidence in an apparent attempt to show credibility, but in doing so, only reinforced that his case relied almost entirely on a single source, Spencer's testimony against Camden.
Well, I addressed him as a cult leader and sexual predator because that's how he has been described by the survivors, and even testimonials themselves serve as evidence in a court of law. So to me, that is all of the evidence I need to say this man is a sexual predator and cult leader.
Despite these efforts to reclaim his former influence, Max was never able to regain his peak popularity. In fact, following Mudahar's whistleblow video in January 2024, Max lost a dramatic 130,000 subscribers with no meaningful recovery. And after uploading his 3-hour response to Mudahar, Max went completely silent on YouTube for nearly a year, only returning in January 2026 with a farewell video about his dog. Elsewhere, his Twitter account is no longer accessible. Meanwhile, on Patreon, he does seem to upload occasionally, including a video titled New Mama Max Video posted on January 10, which requires you to pay $5 to watch it. But when I bought the subscription, it turned out to just link to his latest YouTube video about the passing of his dog, until I read the description where I found something interesting. Hey guys, I just wanted to share my new video about Mr. Ross with you. This does not replace regular content. We are still actively working on the current project, hinting that he is not giving up on posting yet. However, looking at the views and interactions, no one else seems to be tuning in with Max the way they once did, when his videos regularly pulled millions or hundreds of thousands of views. There were just 2 comments on his Patreon offering support, with one saying, "Wish you all the best for you and your family," but it's clear that the majority of his fans have left him. Indeed, Max's story shows that chasing drama over truth can destroy a creator's trust, and once it collapses, it's almost impossible to rebuild. If you like this video, you'll probably enjoy these next ones as well, and don't forget to subscribe.
This is Story Recapped. Today, I'm going to explain a drama, horror, and mystery film called No One Gets Out Alive. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. A montage of clips from 1963 shows footage of an expedition in Mexico, led by a man named Professor Arthur Wells. They arrive at a historical site when they find numerous human bones inside, some even missing their skull. Then, as they dig further down, they retrieve a stone box surrounded by butterflies and moths. Back to the present day, an immigrant, Ambar, comes to America without documentation after her mother died and starts working as a seamstress. She's been staying at a rundown motel, but when asked for an ID so she can stay there longer, Ambar can't provide one. Because of this, she starts looking for a new place to stay. Thankfully, she comes across a posted advertisement about a boarding house at her workplace. Choosing to seize the opportunity for cheap housing, she goes straight to the address and arrives at a large, old-looking estate that would make anyone understand why the rent is so cheap. Once inside, the proprietor, Red Wells, tells Ambar that they're still in the process of fixing up the house because they recently just took over the place. Ambar then sees another lady downstairs, Freya, and asks Red how many people are living there, so Red says that Ambar is only the second tenant next to Freya, and that there are only 2 of them. The next day, when Ambar goes out to leave for work, she feels ash cling to her fingers when she locks the door. She then suddenly bumps into Freya, who introduces herself nicely, mentioning that there are only the 2 of them at the house. However, Freya practically says that Red is a liar. Meanwhile, mysterious figures from the upper floor watch Ambar as she leaves, her eyes in the dark. At work, Ambar gets scolded by her boss for doing a lousy job, but she laughs it off with her friend, Kinsey. Kinsey is helping Ambar get forged documentation, but she apologetically informs Ambar that the price for her fake ID has changed from $1,000 to $3,000. Ambar can get a fake ID for $1,000.
I got a fake ID though.
It says that she's from Ohio, but she insists that it has to say that she was born in Texas. That night, Ambar takes a cab to a nice neighborhood to meet a relative, Beto, her mother's cousin. She then overhears him arguing with his wife about her because the woman says that they hardly knew her, but Beto is trying to be understanding. Beto also praises Ambar for staying by her mother's side through her illness, and they even give her a coat out of hospitality. When Ambar gets home, she hears rumbling noises echoing from the hallway and starts following the source of the sound until she finds a door leading to the basement. She then observes the locked door and notices the scratch marks on the door frame, but she gets distracted when Red suddenly appears and asks her if she's looking for something. So Ambar tells him that she's hearing sounds coming from the basement, but Red tells her that the basement is private and tries to dismiss her. Ambar also notices the study room, but Red says that's private too and quickly closes the door. Ambar only wants her deposit back so that she can use it to get a fake ID, but Red nonchalantly tells her he's already spent it. That night, Ambar hears Freya crying in her room and decides to check on her. However, she finds Freya's room empty and notices ash on the door frame. She then starts walking away, unable to see a dark figure of a woman inside Freya's room. Confused, Ambar heads to the kitchen to get herself a drink. Then, while doing so, she suddenly remembers her mother on her deathbed. Her mother notices a stone box in the corner, and when Ambar turns to look at it, she sees a pair of hands trying to remove its cover. Luckily, Ambar wakes up and realizes she's just had a nightmare. Feeling hopeless about her financial situation, Ambar goes to the bar with Kinsey after work to talk about her ID and why she desperately needs one from Texas. She explains that her uncle couldn't help her get a job because she wasn't a US citizen, so she lied, saying that she was born in Texas because her mom lived there for a while. After sharing her own story about coming to America, Kinsey offers to cover the rest of Ambar's payment for the fake ID, on a deal that Ambar will pay it back when she's able to. Grateful, Ambar gives Kinsey the rest of her remaining cash so that she'll finally be able to get her documents. At home, Ambar hears a thudding sound coming from the hallway and sees a man banging his head on the door, muttering some gibberish. Disturbed, she checks it out but slowly just walks away. Then, as she prepares to sleep, she hears footsteps come and stop in front of her room, and the same man chants once again before slamming his head on the door, leaving an ash imprint. Moments later, Ambar goes downstairs and meets the new tenants, Petra and Maria. Then, when Red comes in to show the new women their room, Ambar asks him about the weird man that she saw earlier, so Red explains that it's just his brother, Becker, and that it's just the two of them. Later on, when Ambar notices that Red has left the study room open, she goes inside to snoop around. She finds a lot of ancient artifacts and preserved moss and butterflies, but what catches her attention is the recorder. Putting the headphones on, she listens to the recording and hears the same chanting done by Becker, as well as the explanation that it's recited during a ritual before sacrificing women, the elderly, or children in return for a blessing. Looking around, Ambar also sees Aztec weapons, a portrait of a married couple with the husband's face scratched out, and more books about rituals. She also finds another picture of the couple, Arthur Wells and his wife, Mary, posing alongside a stone box. Unfortunately, Ambar breaks the framed photograph after getting startled when the recorder suddenly plays, and as she cleans up her mess, she doesn't see the dark figure of a woman watching her from the corner. The next day, Ambar is shocked to learn from her boss that Kinsey has quit. Unfortunately, her boss also gets irritated when she insists on having Kinsey's address, so he ends up firing her. In the evening, while Ambar is taking a shower, she hears some noises from the drain. First, she only hears just a creaking sound, but when she turns off the water, she hears a woman screaming for help. Then she sees Freya behind the shower curtain, but she suddenly disappears as soon as she opens the liner. Scared, Ambar bumps into Red on her way back to her room. She also asks for Freya, but Red says that she's already moved out a couple of days ago. Red then talks about her deposit, and says that he can give it back to her the next day, making Ambar feel relieved. Later that night, a moth flies out of the basement and goes to Ambar's room. Meanwhile, Ambar just listens to her mother's recorded voice messages before smashing the insect, only to be surprised when it comes back to life. She then sees her mother at the foot of her bed, spooking her awake and making her realize it was just a dream. However, she sees her door wide open when she sits up, and the lights outside go out. She then hears crying coming from outside and looks for the source. Seeing another figure from the room across from hers, she also sees footsteps approaching her, as if chasing something, and Ambar suddenly gets visions from the past. Mary forced to prepare a frightened woman for a ritual, but the victim tried her best to fight back. Moments later, Ambar follows the crying sounds and finds the victim in front of the basement door, pleading for mercy. However, Mary simply stands behind Ambar as they both watch a monstrous-looking hand pull the woman into the basement. Terrified, Ambar hurriedly packs her bag and calls Beto, begging him to pick her up. Unfortunately, Beto is out of town and can't help her, so he tells her to call the police if she's in trouble. Because of that, Ambar finally confesses that she's an illegal immigrant and can't call the cops, Beto is understandably upset that Ambar lied, so he apologizes for not being able to help her, but still promises to see her once he's able to. With no other choice, Ambar knocks on Red's door to get her deposit back, but sees Becker instead, saying that Red is currently out,
He looks cool.
refusing to stay at the house any longer. Ambar immediately leaves but struggles to find a place to stay. While staying in a diner, Ambar has another nightmare about being on the train and seeing the stone box and her mother. She then calls Red and asks to meet her, but when Red arrives, she learns that the guy has left her money back at the house. However, Ambar says that she doesn't want to go back, but Red says that he also doesn't want her to return either, especially after having an argument with Becker because of a refund. Despite their fight, Red clarifies that he has to take care of his sick brother, who's taken care of him when he was young. Eventually, Red successfully coerces a hesitant Ambar into going back to the house with him. She then goes to her room because Red says that her money is there, but Ambar can't find it anywhere. Meanwhile, Red appears behind Ambar with a bottle of alcohol and offers her a drink, but she quickly refuses and asks where her money is. She also starts feeling suspicious as Red suddenly starts talking about the weird house and how his father collected old artifacts before killing their mother. Scared, Ambar tries to leave, but Red keeps blocking her way. On the other hand, an impatient Becker bursts into Ambar's room and decides to deal with her himself. He then forces Ambar to drink the alcohol, and Red grabs her phone and warns her not to try to leave before locking her in her room. That night, Maria and Petra plead for Ambar to let them in her room, so she does. Then, after finally realizing that something is wrong, the three stick together. They also share common experiences they've had while staying at the house, including their dreams where they all see the same stone box, which Petra believes is in the basement. Later on, Petra points out the sounds of women crying in the basement, but Maria says those women are dead. Petra then sings to Maria to calm her down, and as Ambar looks around the room, she sees the old victims of the household. Meanwhile, Petra and Maria disappear from the bed, and when the ghosts vanish too, Ambar sees her mother calling out to her in the hallway. Then, it isn't long before Ambar wakes up from her dream and realizes the brothers are taking Petra and Maria. The women desperately try to fight back, but when the doorbell rings, Becker locks Ambar in the room while Red gets the door. It turns out, Beto hasn't forgotten his promise to get Ambar, but Red stops him at the door. On the other hand, back upstairs, Ambar screams and bangs on the window to get Beto's attention, but she can't be heard. Red tries to send Beto away, but Beto notices Ambar's coat in the hallway and refuses to leave. Then, Ambar smashes the window and finally gets Beto's attention, so the man pushes Red out of the way and rushes inside to find her. He quickly tries to help Ambar escape, but Red alerts Becker, who mercilessly beats him to death. Unfortunately, Ambar can only sob and hopelessly beg Becker to leave Beto alone. Enraged, Becker instructs Red to prepare Ambar for the sacrifice. Ambar is then chained as she watches Maria get carried down to the basement, and when Becker tells Red that Ambar is next, he tries telling him that there are too many sacrifices in one go. However, Becker ignores him, so Red follows his brother's commands and rubs ash all over Ambar's body. Ambar wants to know what will happen to her, so Red explains that sacrificing women to the box helps in treating his brother's sickness. Red also reveals that their father, Arthur, made their mother Mary help him sacrifice women to the box before killing her, so he and Becker decided to get rid of him. Ambar then pleads with Red that they should escape together, but Red's loyalty to his brother prevails. Moments later, Becker comes to get Ambar and tells her not to struggle, as he shows her the scratches on his hand. Ambar also sees that his wound is slowly healing, and she isn't able to fight when the big guy carries him to the basement, where ghosts of the old victims watch them in the hallway. The sacrificial room is filled with lit candles surrounding a stone table that's placed in front of the stone box. Becker removes Maria's body from the table, and Ambar sees that it's been decapitated. Terrified, Ambar tries to crawl away, but Becker easily carries and chains her to the stone bed before proceeding to open the lid of the stone
Then
box.
he waddled
The box
away,
reveals a
waddle,
long
waddle.
tunnel leading to the infinite darkness, and as Becker leaves, Ambar hears the sound of an approaching monster from within. Ambar stares at the box as butterflies and moths start to fly all over the place, and as she hears the monster coming closer, Beto suddenly shows up and unchains her. Beto assures her that he's fine and helps her escape, but as they go through the back door,
This is boring. What?
When you think of a treasure hunter, who comes to mind? For most of us, we go to swashbuckling pirates like Blackbeard or the fictional Captain Jack Sparrow. For others who live near the beach, maybe it's the kooky older guy with the metal detector walking up and down the shore. For betting enthusiasts, perhaps it's the degenerate gambler, caffeine-fueled insomniac grinding away for hours at the poker table, hoping to land a big pot. But arguably the most important treasure hunter, and undoubtedly the most intriguing, is someone most of you probably never heard of: Tommy Thompson, a marine engineer from the landlocked state of Indiana. And the reason he's been under the radar for so long is because, well, he spent over a decade in jail for refusing to reveal the location of his most prized find, one of the most lucrative shipwrecks in history, the SS Central America. As of January 2025, Thompson has been held in contempt of court since December of 2015. And every day since then, he's accrued a $1,000 fine for every day he has refused to cooperate in sharing the location of nearly 500 gold coins that have been valued at $2.5 million. Those fines, as of today, total $3.3 million. The story of Tommy Thompson and his lost treasure, at least lost to us, is straight out of an 80s adventure film. A brilliant underdog mind against extreme wealth and a man on the run from financial and legal systems, all set against a backdrop of the dangerous world of deep sea salvaging. In a case like this, we'll try to answer the question that people have been asking for years. Who does this treasure really belong to? And for those who are looking to break the monotony of a 9-to-5, can I make a living as a treasure hunter? Unfortunately for Thompson, that career path took him from a celebrated discoverer to a prison cell. But what could possess a man to dedicate his life to such a mission? Surely one doesn't simply come out of the womb looking for hidden treasures. Or do they? Hello everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the missing treasure of Tommy Thompson. This is a really weird story that I'm excited to talk about and excited to kick off the new year with. I appreciate your all support as the channel kicked up in this new phase last year, and hopefully it continues even more so into 2026. So if this story sounds interesting to you, stick around after the ad as we talk about some missing treasure. It's the new year, and most people use the new year as an excuse to start on new goals. Losing weight, saving money, to today, that's audience. Get in channel as always, link will be in the description, and we're back to the video. We are going to go ahead and get into it, but as always, thank you for watching. Thomas Gregory Thompson was born on April 15th, 1952, which was coincidentally the 40th anniversary of the Titanic sinking. It seems like it was already preordained that he would have a deep fascination with the ocean and sunken ships. After Thompson was born, he moved from Indiana to Defiance, a city in northwest Ohio. The youngest of 4 children, Thompson was fond of science books and popular mechanics magazines. Both of his parents were extremely smart. His father was an engineer and his mother was a nutritionist. Tommy's curiosity and love for exploration began early, as both parents remember him, quote, playing with tinker toys well into the night. Thompson grew up constantly building or fixing something, and if he wasn't doing either, then he was tearing something down so he could rebuild it. When Thompson was 8, he almost got his parents in trouble with the phone company because he had split the phone wire into 2 lines and connected the second line to a jewelry box, building himself a telephone. Think about what you were building when you were 8. Probably stupid little Lincoln logs or Legos, and try not to feel bad about yourself. By the time he was 10 years old, he could fix all the appliances in the house. And in high school, he built a lawnmower that had 4 engines. Once he could finally keep them running all at once, it took him only 20 minutes to mow the grass. Which I understand modifying 1 engine, but why do you need 4? What's he preparing for? But as comfortable as Thompson was tinkering on land, he loved being underwater. Thompson would often practice holding his breath and often challenged his friends to breath-holding contests. As a teenager, Thompson hung around a group of like-minded kids his age who referred to themselves as the Vigilantes. Thompson was nicknamed Harvey the Hobo due to his traveling all around town. The name stuck, and to Thompson's buddies, he was just Harvey. And as Thompson's friends bought regular cars, Thompson, quote, dropped $400 on a cream-colored amphibious vehicle, the same kind used by James Bond in Thunderball. Despite being over 500 miles away from the nearest ocean, Thompson enrolled at the Ohio State University with dreams of being a marine engineer. Ironically, Ohio State didn't offer courses in marine engineering, so Thomas decided on the next closest thing and pursued mechanical engineering. Fortunately, his advisor, Don Glower, the school's dean of mechanical engineering, was a marine engineer, and the two were able to design a special 5-year program for Thompson. This program was mechanical engineering with a specialty in marine design. Some of the courses included in his program were aquatic microbiology, corrosion sciences, and marine geology. With the help of his advisor, Thompson became the first engineering student at Ohio State University to attend his school's lab for marine biology, which was on Lake Erie. He would drive his amphibious car in and out of the lake to the surprise of onlookers. One of his advisors praised Thompson for his fearlessness and remarked that he was, quote, willing to go places where no one else had gone and try things no one else had tried. In 1971, Thompson's dreams started to become reality, as he spent the year in Key West working with the famed treasure hunter Mel Fisher to search for the elusive Spanish galleon Nuestra Senora de Atocha. Thompson later joined another famous treasure hunter, John During, to search for the La Concepcion, a vessel that had sunk in 1961 off the coast of the Dominican Republic, reportedly carrying 150 tons of silver. While Thompson worked with these career treasure hunters in Florida, he learned of the many sunken ships all over the world. According to Narratively, these ships carried, quote, more gold than could ever be spent. However, unfortunately for Thompson, this was the early 70s, so technological limits, along with a lack of information, meant finding, let alone acquiring the hidden treasures these ships contained, was next to impossible. Thompson relished the challenge of finding one of these wrecks. During his expeditions with Fisher and During in shallow reef waters, Thompson began to think of the kind of technology he would need to recover shipwrecks from the deep ocean floor. He thought if he could successfully descend thousands of feet, sift delicately through the remains of an ancient ship, and bring back her treasures unmarred, he had the means to do almost anything. Fish, farm, mine, drill, recover, test, explore. The possibilities were endless. The Buttle Memorial Institute in Columbus, which did contract work for the U.S. Department of Defense. During his time at Buttle, Thompson helped create technology that allowed the U.S. government to recover information from a Soviet nuclear submarine. Don Frink, Thompson's boss, recalled him being smart, ambitious, and willing to work hard. However, Frink believed Thompson was too wrapped up in his own ideas, maybe a little too smart or ambitious for his own good, the mark of a true entrepreneur. It's also clear to me that Thompson was a prodigy from a young age and had these aspirations for more throughout his life. So yeah, I'm sure his boss, who is trying to get him to do specific jobs for the company, is going to say he's not great at that because Thompson wants to do so much more. Or maybe his boss thought he wasn't a great employee because he saw the signs of someone who thought himself capable of outsmarting the legal system. At Battelle, Thompson was quickly tasked to work on deep ocean mining concepts and looked for ways to access deep sea depths. Thompson soon realized that the technology needed for this type of access would be too costly to build to justify the value of the minerals harvested from the ocean floor. In other words, the rig that would need to be invented to go that deep wouldn't make sense if you were just harvesting minerals. And since new technology was the key to success for deep ocean mining, he needed something more valuable than rocks. What he needed was sunken treasure to make the whole expedition worthwhile. And because of that, what he really needed was a first mate to help him get those streams off the ground and into the ears of investors to fund this technology. So, enter Bob Evans.
Bob Evans, down on the farm.
No, not the microwave meal Bob Evans. Probably. Thompson and Evans met a few years earlier in 1978. They had met during a winter storm that raged in Columbus, Ohio. Thompson was huddled up with his future ex-wife in her apartment when her heat went out. Thompson went to her next-door neighbor for help, who turned out to be Bob Evans, a man who later became a trusted partner in his quest for deep-sea exploration. So, you know, I guess the marriage was good for something. Evans, who had also graduated from Ohio State, albeit with a degree in geology, became fast friends with Thompson, who regaled Evans with his stories of treasure hunting in Florida. Evans was fascinated, and being an amateur historian himself, the two would drink tequila and bourbon on Evans' front porch and talk of treasure hunting and history. Thompson eventually shared his idea of treasure hunting historic shipwrecks. But the big question, however, was which one? Like I said earlier, there was a ton of documented shipwrecks that had a ton of treasure on them, but most of the wreck locations were either unknown or far too difficult to get to. Well, the two men considered several shipwrecks, such as the Republic, a luxury liner that sank off the coast of Nantucket in 1909. It was rumored that its passengers carried millions of gold coins, but that was never officially documented. They also looked into the San Jose, a Spanish galleon sunk off the coast of Colombia by the British. But a wreck in sovereign waters meant they had to ask the foreign government for permission and probably do some convincing. And the government probably won't be convinced if the only reason you want to do it is to take all the money. They also considered the Titanic, probably the most famous shipwreck known to mankind, but ultimately passed due to its many legal protections, as the wreck is primarily a memorial site. And also, they didn't know the specifics of it in the 70s like we do now, but that thing is way down there. Insert joke about the Titanic expedition here. While other deep ocean treasure hunters may launch headfirst into a mission solely based on the value of its cargo, Thompson's scientific approach to an expedition of this scale meant he and Evans had to answer a few key questions. Is there a historical record establishing that the vessel went down while her hold carried valuable cargo? Can the place of the vessel sinking be approximately located? These were the questions Thompson and Evans had to answer, but most importantly, they had to decide if the condition of the ocean floor at the site was conducive to a successful salvage operation. For example, if the sediment that the potential shipwreck set on was too deep, it'd be buried before Thompson could dig the ship out. Not to mention, if the ocean currents were too strong, a remotely operated underwater vehicle equipped with cameras would be difficult, if not impossible, to control. In other words, there was a lot that could go wrong. But, based on their criteria, Thompson and Evans finally decided on a shipwreck that checked all their boxes: the SS Central America. On March 15th of 1848, the California newspaper ran a headline titled "Gold Mine Found." The California gold rush was in full swing, and the at the time sleepy settlement of San Francisco watched its population boom from 459 people to almost 25,000 by the end of 1849. As people rushed to the west to seek their fortune, shipping lanes were established to carry passengers and supplies into California, while gold was transported back to the East Coast. The SS
He really
Central
wants
America was
this
a key
fucker.
vessel during this time, and as one of the
Oh,
new
we got him.
classes of
Nice.
steamships that were built in 1852, the ship was launched the following year. So the SS Central America ferried people and products from the Panamanian port of what is now Columbia to New York, and it was said to have carried, quote, 1/3 of all gold shipped during the California gold rush from California to New York. All in all, the ship completed 43 voyages in her 4 years of operation before sinking in the fall of 1857. That's because on September 3rd of 1857, the Central America departed Panama with nearly 500 passengers and around 100 crew members. The ship was ready to embark on its usual 9-day trip through the Caribbean and up the East Coast. Many of its passengers had come from the SS Sonora in San Francisco, newly rich with gold, and were returning home with their fortune for good. People would go out to California for a while, make their money, and then travel back east. Well, by the time they transferred over to the Central America, the ship carried gold totaling around $1.6 million, which in 1988, at the time Thompson and Evans were thinking about finding the ship, was worth about $21 million. This also excludes passenger gold, for which many people brought their own shipments. Coins and gold bars, which were called ingots, ranged in size from squares less than half a pound to building blocks that weighed over 60 pounds. Think of your stereotypical solid brick of gold. The ship had a ton of those. You know, kind of like bricks that are used for building houses, or like the brick Kevin threw at the bandits in Home Alone. Only if Kevin had thrown a gold brick at them, Kevin would be charged with manslaughter. Because, you know, those things are pretty heavy. Now, the SS Central America made a stopover in Cuba on Tuesday, September 8th. Clear skies and calm seas greeted them, and all aboard expected an ordinary trip back to New York. However, the condition changed drastically the next day. In just 48 hours, the ship was in the middle of a hurricane nearly 200 miles east of Savannah, Georgia. By Friday, furious winds pulverized the ship, and relentless ocean waves the size of mountains broke, quote, so high over the bow of the ship that each side wheel was completely submerged. Chief Engineer George Ashby realized the side wheel problem would eventually doom the vessel. While being pounded by gale force winds, crew members were thrown off balance trying to deliver a wheelbarrow of coal to the engines, because if the engines weren't fired, the side wheels would cease to turn, and they would not be able to keep the bow of the ship facing the waves. Passengers aboard, quote, attempted a 30-hour non-stop bucket brigade to keep the ship afloat, but the engines flooded and the storm ripped apart masts and sails. On the evening of September 12, 1857, the SS Central America sank and took down 425 victims with it. Only 153 passengers survived, predominantly the women and children. Overall, 425 people perished in the disaster that was believed to have happened about 160 miles off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. When rescue operations across the Atlantic came to help, they discovered that the survivors still treading water would not let go of their gold. As a result, the lifeboats could carry only so many passengers at once, as their heavy weight made it impossible for the rowers to bear. The choice was clear: ditch your gold and hope to survive, or cling to it and sink into a watery grave. The horrific tragedy was considered the era's Titanic, and, quote, the loss in gold was so profound that it was one of the factors precipitating the Great Panic financial crisis of 1857. That's right, this ship had so much gold on it that when it sank, it directly led to a financial crisis. At the time, the US banking system relied heavily on the gold standard, as all money was backed, quite literally, by the same amount in gold. Well, that sounds like a great idea. I wonder why we quit doing that. American Standard Gold, the world's leading advisory firm for precious metals, wrote that, quote, in late summer of 1857, cracks in the financial system were already evident. A prominent Ohio to New York financial house failed, railroad securities wobbled, and confidence in the value of the dollar thinned. So all of that gives us backstory to how the SS Central America went down and why its treasure was so coveted. And Thompson's confidence in finding the Central America was at an all-time high. See, no one at the time had found the wreckage yet, but that wasn't going to stop him. Because it sank in U.S. waters, there would be no international entanglements. There was a detailed manifest of the cargo with accurate navigational records, so there would be an approximate location of where it went down. Also, all the heavy iron used to power the ship would be perfect for sonar detection. And then, of course, there was all that gold. Central America was sought after by other treasure hunters, with at least 6 previous expeditions having failed before Thompson. Thompson needed to work fast before a competitor launched another expedition, and instead of taking a treasure hunting approach like Fisher did with the Atocha in 1976, Thompson took a scientific one. Finding the Central America would be a challenge. Quote, proportionally, it would be like finding a single grain of sand in the floor plan of a 4-bedroom house. To pinpoint a more manageable area for the search, Bob Evans made a compilation of accounts of the sinking, mostly from news stories that were published in 1857. He pored over passenger and crew accounts and worked with Lawrence D. Stone, a search theory expert who was famous for recovering the U.S. nuclear submarine Scorpion in the late 60s. So Stone used data to create computerized models of possible sinking scenarios based on coordinates, wind speed, and the direction of the hurricane. The result was a search grid almost the size of Rhode Island. And again, they're looking for one boat in the midst of that. Each square of the grid was given a number, and the higher the number, the greater the chance that the Central America would be in that spot. So Thompson pitched his plan to Columbus's wealthy class. This would be a multi-million-dollar expedition, and he would need funding. Now, Thompson's appearance made him an oddity in these wealthy circles. With his thrift store suit and unkempt hair, his presence was a bewilderment to those high-powered investors in their upper-floor offices and elegant conference rooms. But despite his look, Thompson was charismatic, and he had a unique ability to convey the science behind his wild ideas in a way that made them seem possible. He was also realistic, bringing up the low probability of success and, quote, outlined various contingencies, emphasizing that the mission offered the chance for investors to participate in a journey of good old American discovery. And the tactic worked. Thompson inspired confidence in these investors, who relished the delight of the project. One of the investors, D. Wayne Ashby, said, quote, concept seemed pretty far out, but I was certain of his credibility. The financial gain of the pitch was this: $50,000 investment could be worth more than $1.5 million. Thompson's lawyer, Keith Golden, which, first of all, the treasure hunter's lawyer is named Keith Golden. Just had to point that out. Keith Golden is the treasure hunting attorney for Tommy Thompson, with his best friend Bob Evans. You know, I've never met any of these people. This whole story could just be a joke. Someone could have put all this on the internet just to mess with me, and you know what? It worked. But it makes me happy, so who's the real winner? Keith Golden had documents signed by the investors, which clearly stated that there was a possibility of getting nothing from this mission. Oddly enough, some of the investors embraced this. One investor even famously wrote "bye-bye" on the memo line of the check he handed to Thompson. Which, yeah, that's funny and all. He's acting like the money's going bye-bye, but I feel like writing bye-bye on a check does not legally hold up in court to say you're removing yourself from the investment. But I guess we'll find out when we get to the court part of this. In 2 years, Thompson and Evans raised $12.7 million from 161 backers. After an additional investment round increased the total to 22 million, they had enough to pay for a ship, a crew, and equipment to reach the ocean floor. Thompson established two companies from which the money flowed: Recovery Limited Partnership, which Thompson used to solicit investors to back the venture, and Columbus America Discovery Group, which was the operating company Thompson used to organize personnel and material for the salvage. As you can imagine, you need a lot of people and a lot of supplies to try to get that ship and the gold in it off the ocean floor. With strong financial backing, Thompson could finally build the perfect search vessel, which he aptly named Nemo. Weighing 7 tons, the remotely operated vehicle could withstand even the harshest of deep ocean conditions. Before this expedition, the deepest these types of submersibles had reached was 6,600 feet. Plus, they all had only one arm, which was limited to rudimentary functions. Nemo had multiple arms, as well as cameras, so that scientists could explore the wreck and perform numerous tasks required for the ship's recovery. So in June of 1986, the mission to find the SS Central America was officially launched. And almost immediately, they had problems. Quote, seasickness, short tempers, errant weather, malfunctioning equipment, and for a stretch of time, the only food served was fried chicken. Which I don't know if that last part's really that big of a problem. It seems more a matter of opinion. Like, was it McDonald's chicken nugget fried chicken, or was it like Cane's fried chicken? Because that would not be a bad thing. The biggest conflict, though, was between Thompson and Mike Williamson, who was brought on the expedition to utilize his state-of-the-art sonar device. Both men had different ideas on how to tackle the search area. By early fall, more than a month since they launched, the crew had only scanned about half the grid. But to Williamson, one sonar ping stood out: a large dark shadow in the middle of an image which looked like a paddle wheel. Williamson was convinced, so much so that he named this target Side Wheel, because, you know, as mentioned earlier, the SS Central America had these giant side wheels, so Williamson sarcastically refers to the ping that he found as the side wheel because he's convinced it's the side wheel. The team scanned the site numerous times, but Thompson wanted to move on. He wanted to, quote, complete the entire search grid and the areas that had not yet been covered. Because of this, the two men clashed. Crew members claim Williamson was, quote, shaking with rage, blue veins popping out of his neck. Thompson insisted on searching the larger area. For him, it was more than just finding gold. In his book, America's Lost Treasure, Thompson regarded, quote, the Central America as a time capsule, filled not only with treasure, but with artifacts of an era in which the spirit of America blossomed. Thompson wanted to unearth a lost, hidden world of not only gold, but history and marine science. Which, that's cool and all, but, I mean, how much time does it take to check out, like, this one spot? If you see a shadow and the sonar expert who you hired to be a part of the crew is telling you it looks like the side of the SS Central America, I mean, you have the submersible right there. Just send it down and check it out. You could turn this entire expedition into like a 1-month thing. All that talk of, oh, this is like a capsule of America, that's great and all. Why don't we open the capsule where the ship is? I say this with conviction, as if I have any idea what I'm talking about. As if I'm a qualified person to say, yeah, that shadow was definitely the ship. I'm not just a stupid YouTuber. I know sonar equipment if I had to, under certain circumstances, if someone showed me how. According to his lawyer, again, Keith Golden, the treasure was only a means to an end for Thompson's true passion: deep sea exploration. But for many of Thompson's investors, who initially funded this mission for the experience alone, something had shifted. The $50,000 initial investment they had assumed would lead nowhere was now expected to get a return of around $1.5 million, which means now people that paid $50,000 to advance science and exploration were expecting a payday. By 1988, word had spread that Thompson and his crew were getting close to finding the Central America. Time was of the essence, and with 6 previous expeditions that ultimately failed, the Central America was undoubtedly a popular target for treasure hunters. Thompson worried there'd be more on the way, and with all that gold it carried, his team had to hurry before another crew could come in and steal their score. This time crunch was also a contributing factor in ending the power struggle between Thompson and Williamson, who both had differing ideas on how the team should search the area. The team had to move on and search the entire grid rather than focus on a specific section. Williams had to concede, as he was not only hired for his sonar equipment, but had also struck a deal with Thompson. In exchange for 1.975% of the gold, Williamson agreed to keep the sonar results a secret. That way, if they did come across a ping that might be the ship, Williamson can't tell anyone until Thompson and his crew check it out for themselves. Also, 1.975 may sound like a weird percentage, but you got to realize these percentages were promised to a ton of people, so I'm sure they were all broken up like this. And that 0.025% difference between 1.975 and 2% could be the equivalent of like $1 million. Unable to walk away from the expedition, Williamson had no other choice but to continue with Thompson and the team as they searched the rest of the grid. In the late summer of 1988, 2 years after finding Sidewheel, keep in mind these expeditions can take a long time, the crew ran their search aboard a new ship, a retrofitted icebreaker named Arctic Discoverer, over an area nicknamed Galaxy 2. The incoming fall storms caused the Atlantic Ocean to get rough, and because of that, things got tense on board. 20-foot waves pounded the ship, and winds kicked up as high as 35 knots. At 11:30 a.m. on September 11th, Thompson sent Nemo, their underwater submersible, down to the bottom of the Galaxy 2 site. Nemo was shaped like a small shipping container, outfitted with 18 computers and 12 monitors. It weighed in at about 12,000 pounds, and it had, quote, mechanical arms, broadcast quality video cameras, spotlights, strobe lights, thrusters, and excavation tools. Everything required to trawl 8,000 feet below the surface, searching for sparkles of gold in the nightmarish dark. The crew ate their lunch as Nemo drifted down to the ocean floor, which took around 90 minutes. When the crew got back to work, they scanned the monitors for images relayed by their submersible. At first, they, quote, saw a plate, then a bottle, and then a large shadow in the left corner of one of the screens. Thompson couldn't believe what he saw. A big rusty paddle wheel buried in some sediment. It took 5 years to finally find what he'd been looking for. As Nemo made its way around the paddle wheel, the dust finally settled, and the picture it sent back to Thompson and his crew were beyond their wildest dreams. According to Thompson, the bottom was carpeted with gold. It looked like a golden runway. In the images, the crew saw piles of shimmering gold bricks, some stacked on top of each other, others resting at an angle. Coins sparkled along the floor, but the wildest sight of all was the 30-foot tall pile of the prized ore. For Thompson and Evans, those years of drinking on the porch, planning, pitching, and enduring the elements, both nature and man-made, paid off. Thompson invited the investors to the Columbus Athletic Club for a meeting. When they arrived, they were greeted with a display of just some of the treasure that had been recovered. 2 gold coins, a 25-pound bar of gold inside an aquarium tank filled with water, and a 300-pound solid bronze bell. This last item wasn't gold, but was a cool artifact from the SS Central America. The investors were thrilled, as you could imagine, and Thompson was met with a round of applause. I mean, could you imagine if you gave a guy $50,000 and then he came back from the ocean 5 years later and was like, hey, we found a lot of gold. One of the investors, Donald Dunn, said in a speech, quote, I don't know whether you're really going to find any more gold, but whether you do or not, I want you to know it's been a privilege and a pleasure to have been on this journey with you. And more gold Thompson would find. Over the next 3 summers, Thompson would pull more gold from the seabed each visit. Quote from Popular Mechanics, by 1991, his team had brought up 7,500 gold coins, more than 20 pounds of gold dust and nuggets, and 532 ingots that weighed close to 60 pounds. Or for those keeping track at home, millions and millions of dollars. And as for the man himself, Tommy Thompson became a celebrity. He was featured in People magazine, which called him a genius who could fix a rocket ship with 2 paper clips and a piece of twine. But underneath his newfound status, Thompson developed an incurable paranoia. Would someone try to take his gold? Well, as for that gold, when the first haul was brought ashore, it, quote, went straight into armored cars by guards carrying machine guns amidst cheering investors, well-wishers, and descendants of survivors of the Central America shipwreck. In addition to gold, that initial haul also brought trouble for Thompson. He was immediately sued by, quote, no less than 114 separate entities, including 39 insurance companies that had insured the cargo on the original Central America voyage. Which, yeah, you find the gold down there, a bunch of people who didn't say anything prior are going to suddenly have a stake in it. It's also just funny that back in the 1850s, these insurance companies had policies for the cargo that was on the ship. And then like 130 years later, when it's found, the insurance companies rise from the grave. Like, it's clearly there in the fine print, that gold is mine, thank you. These entities argued that since they paid claims in 1857, they were entitled to the recovered gold. One of the more perplexing lawsuits was from an order of Capuchin monks who accused Thompson of stealing information that was given to the monks by a Columbia University professor they had contracted to do sonar research in the same area as the expedition, which that is objectively funny. There's a group of monks who hired a sonar guy to check out the area, and then when you find the gold, the monks sue you because the guy they hired, they think, gave you the information. The judge eventually dismissed the monk's case, but that's such a funny line. But Thompson's other legal battles persisted until 1998, when a U.S. District Court judge in Virginia finally ruled in Thompson's favor, giving 92.5% of the recovered gold to him. But the court also ruled that these 39 insurance companies were the representing parties that had claims to the gold on the original voyage, not Thompson's investors. How the judge came to this ruling was based on the law of salvage and the law of fines. The differences between the two are this. The law of fines can be simplified to its basic premise: finders keepers. For any treasure hunter to be awarded possession of a high-profile shipwreck, the key factor is abandonment, meaning that the finder must prove that the original owner has abandoned the ship. The finder must also establish, quote, intent to acquire the property and take actual possession or control of it. Because of the law of fines, this fosters potential treasure hunters to act quietly and hide their recoveries to prevent claims from previous owners that could strip the finders of any treasure. While the law of fines focuses on title and possession, the law of salvage emphasizes the preservation of property and fair compensation. If a finder saves sunken property, then they should be properly paid for their efforts. They, in turn, become salvers who do not own the property that is recovered or saved, whether from piracy, storms, or other elements, and are compensated by a salvage award. So if the ship was completely lost and there was no insurance and there was no paperwork anywhere giving claim to the cargo of the ship, then it's finders keepers. If Thompson finds it, he gets to do with it whatever he wants. But because there were steps made to ensure there was value for the lost cargo, and in the event of a wreck there was compensation from the insurance company, then therefore the wreck has not truly been abandoned. So instead of finding it, what Thompson really did was salvage it. So he gets an award for the salvage, but it's not that the gold he found was his. Instead, he basically gets a bounty for finding it. Now, because it was so hard to find and had been gone for so long, it was a pretty hefty bounty of 92.5%, but as you could imagine, that's not great news for Thompson's investors. Ultimately, this was what was awarded to Thompson and the Columbus America Discovery Group: exclusive salvage rights and the 92.5% of the recovered gold. The remaining percentage would go to the various insurance companies of the Central America. The key factor in the decision was the degree to which Thompson worked to protect, quote, the historical and archaeological value of the wreck and items salvaged. It was Thompson's deep-sea exploration from a scientific and historic approach, rather than just another money-hungry treasure hunter, that helped him in court. As for the contract between Thompson and his investors, the stipulation was that he would only receive around 17% of the proceeds from future sales. With the insurance companies out of the way, the investors believed they were going to become extraordinarily rich because of the 92%, or so they thought. See, by now, the relationship between the investors and Thompson had soured. Meetings and updates had become less frequent. Thompson, whose transparency was a point of interest for investors initially, seemed to withdraw into a shell. One investor said to Columbus Monthly that Columbus America Discovery Group was, quote, playing their cards pretty close to the vest, and it ain't my vest. As for Thompson, who had not foreseen the onslaught of legal trouble, this experience strained him. In 1991, he had to put the recovery efforts on hold. Now, gold didn't dip as a result of this, but while Thompson was held up in court and therefore unable to take his gold to market, the rare coin market started to slide. By 1998, the same year Thompson published his book about the search, America's Lost Treasure, his recovered gold was valued at around $100 million. This sounds like a ton, right? Until you realize that years prior, before the market slid, it was valued around $400 million. So the value of it was cut down to a quarter of what it once was because Thompson was unable to sell it in the midst of all the court disputes. Thompson was also facing difficulties in his personal life. A lengthy divorce, coupled with the death of his father, halted recovery efforts for the rest of the gold. And again, he was given exclusive salvage rights, so no one else can get to it either. It just has to sit there. I mean, it's been sitting there for like 140 years, so it's probably fine, but still, it's frustrating. Like the sunken ship, he was under extreme pressure. By 1992, Thompson's company had spent more than, quote, $30 million on salvaging, running the business, and legal fees, as Thompson attempted to balance his obligation to his crew, his companies, and his investors while being a dad to 3 kids. As someone who meticulously pored over data and research in his expeditions, Thompson was naturally obsessed with showing up to every court hearing for the lawsuits, especially since it was regarding who the gold belonged to. And as you can imagine, this legal case was one of a kind, so it took a long time for everyone to sort this out. Despite his distaste for the nature of these legal battles, he was as every bit involved with them as his lawyers were. Thompson read every page of every brief and had a hand in writing them as well. For Thompson to pay his investors, he had to sell the treasure. In 2000, Thompson and Evans negotiated with the California Gold Marketing Group to sell a majority of their haul to gold and coin dealers for a total of $52 million. This was a shock to investors, as Thompson didn't inform them until after the sale was finished. The investors pressed Thompson for their share, but he allegedly told them they would receive nothing. All the money, according to him, went to pay off loans and legal fees that accrued since the expedition began. Among the gold sold were 5,000 commemorative restrike coins from some of the Central America's gold bars. In place of the profit from the sale of the gold, instead, Thompson decided to receive 500 of these coins as his payment. This was due to a recently amended agreement between Recovery Limited and Columbus American Discovery Group, which, remember, Thompson was the head of both companies. And conveniently, people can't be coming for his percentage of the profits if his only profit was commemorative gold coins. Which, by the way, the value of these 500 coins was around $2.5 million. When word traveled back to the investors about Thompson's gold coins, 2 of them sued Thompson, along with Mike Williamson and 12 other sonar technicians. Which I get suing Thompson, but it's funny to just grab the sonar guys in the lawsuit. Like, I know you're part of this. You're all in on it. They saw through Thompson's loophole with getting his payment in gold coins, and they wanted profit from those 500 coins. To sort out the whole mess, a U.S. District Court judge in 2006, quote, ordered Thompson to submit an inventory of the gold as part of the civil lawsuits against him. Not only did Thompson fail to submit one, but he refused to provide a full account of the gold for 6 years. Over these 6 years, Thompson drew away from the public eye. Perhaps due to the unyielding cat-and-mouse legal battles and trial tactics from lawyers, Thompson was simply worn down. Much like his relationship with his investors, Thompson became unreachable and stopped responding to calls, and he eventually stopped appearing in court altogether. Thompson soon left the Midwest and spent most of his time living in Florida under another name, keeping away from the public eye, especially the press. Thompson was under what is known as the Plague of Gold, a legendary term referring to the cruel turn of fortune that occurs when there's a discovery of buried treasure. You know, kind of like the Curse of the Black Pearl from the first Pirates of the Caribbean. Only instead of becoming skeleton people, you just don't show up to court, which that's really the same thing, if you think about it. In 2008, Thompson was arrested in Jacksonville after a sheriff saw him hiding something during a traffic stop. Thompson was trying to cover up a trove of, quote, fake IDs, 4 cell phones, and $6,500 in cash. Once again, like the 4 engines on the lawnmower, what is he planning? The items painted a broad picture of someone who desperately did not want to be found, as the various identities might have been used for multiple bank accounts. The cash would come in handy for quick transactions on transportation and motel rooms without suspicion. He was likely a multi-millionaire who was living out of his car. In 2012, Thompson was ordered to appear in court, either with the coins or to swear under oath that he didn't know their location. As you can imagine, Thompson never showed. While this strategy might have worked with investors, the court's judge did not respond well to Thompson's withdrawal. As a result, the judge held Thompson in criminal contempt of court and a warrant was issued for his arrest. Thompson was now branded a fugitive and U.S. Marshals were tasked with hunting him down. This story is so fascinating and high stakes on paper. This treasure hunter gets money from investors and finds a shipwreck full of gold, and then the courts brand him a fugitive and the marshals are trying to find him. But then you look into it and he just got kind of depressed and decided to skip court, and now they very lazily have to go arrest him. In 2013, with Thompson on the run, a judge appointed a Columbus lawyer, Ira Kane, to continue recovery efforts of the Central America. Since, you know, all that gold's still down there and Thompson's not getting to it anytime soon. So Kane contracted a company, the Odyssey Marine Exploration, to to bring the rest of the gold up so that investors could get paid. Bob Evans, Thompson's former partner, acted as the chief scientist overseeing the operation. Thompson, wherever he was at this point, was forced to watch from afar as the renewed expedition, which launched in April of 2014, brought up more than 45 gold bars, 15,500 coins, and quote, hundreds of artifacts. Which good for them, but where in the world was Tommy Thompson? Some federal agents believed he was in Ohio, which had been his home base until the mid-2000s, but soon expanded their search to Florida, knowing that he lived there part-time. But Thompson had actually already moved there full-time in a rented mansion in Vero Beach with his administrative assistant, Allison Antekier, who was also rumored to be his girlfriend. The agents had difficulty tracing the two to the mansion, as Thompson had been paying the utilities under the landlord's name, which was Vance Brinkeroff, a real estate agent who went to college with Thompson. By the time U.S. Marshals finally discovered the residence, they were too late. Thompson had moved out. A handyman who worked on the property found some of his belongings, quote, 12 cell phones, each assigned for a different purpose, as well as a book, How to Be Invisible, which offered advice on protecting one's personal privacy. I wonder if the last page of the book is a mostly blank page that just says, don't leave this book behind, since doing that would kind of defeat the point of being invisible. The manhunt was led by U.S. Marshal Mike Straw, who relished the challenge of finding the scientist who himself had found a small ship in the middle of an enormous sea. Straw had been after Thompson for 2 years, but he was getting close. On January 27th, 2015, the hunt would finally come to an end. On that day, 62-year-old Tommy Thompson sat in his room in the Hilton Suites in Boca Raton. Rampant paranoia took its toll on Thompson's now sickly body, which was surrounded by fugitive paraphernalia. Quote, fake IDs, burner phones, voice-changing equipment, and information about which countries don't have extradition treaties with the United States. His companion, Antekier, would run errands in public in order to prevent Thompson from being recognized. And while this might sound paranoid, Thompson's fears weren't entirely unfounded. There were hundreds of wanted posters with his face plastered all over South Florida. In public, Antekier would enlist an almost cartoonish level of precautions, reportedly, quote, wearing big floppy hats and taking a succession of buses and taxis to lose anyone who might be on her tail. And as usual, when she arrived back at the hotel that day, she looked around to make sure she wasn't being followed. Two things. For one, that last sentence is funny because the only way we would know that is if she was in fact being followed. But I also like the idea that I get him being spotted because there's wanted posters everywhere, but the idea that normal people are going to be on the lookout for her, and also because of that, her strategy to not arouse suspicion is to wear overly suspicious disguises like giant hats. So if there's one thing that lets you blend into a crowd, it is wearing something that no one else in the crowd is wearing. But Agent Stroh and his team had followed her for 7 hours, which again probably tipped off by the giant hat. And when they raided the hotel, marshals found the couple hiding out with almost $430,000 in cash, along with information about storage units the couple had rented, a trash bag full of prescription medicine using fake names, expired U.S. Treasury check for $216,939, and registration wrappers for a trust in Belize. But the gold coins were nowhere to be found. At court in Florida, Thompson did everything he could to fight extradition from the state. At one point, he told the judge he was allergic to the weather up north. Furthermore, he told them he contracted a tropical illness from a mosquito bite in South America, and the climate only worsened his ailments. Despite Thompson's long-winded plea, or perhaps because of how ridiculous it sounded, the judge sent Thompson back up to Ohio, where he and Antekier pleaded guilty to criminal contempt on April 8, 2015. Antekier was given a fine of $5,000 and 2 months probation after serving 1 month in jail. Thompson was given a 2-year sentence for the contempt charge and a fine of $250,000. The two turned over the cash seized from the hotel room as part of their plea deal. And as part of the deal, Thompson signed an affidavit agreeing to reveal the location of the 500 gold coins. Now, if Thompson gave over the whereabouts of these coins, he would be released from prison after 2 years, as stipulated in the plea deal. Thompson agreed to sit for a debtor's examination to answer questions about the location of those 500 coins. But as you might have guessed, off of everything you've learned about him so far, Thompson refused to answer them. During one of these examinations, Thompson told authorities that he had a medical condition that prevented him from remembering where he stashed the coins. He remembers everything else about his entire life just fine, just not where the $2.5 million worth of coins are. Because, you know, then
hey, remembering it is a lot of stress, dude. Like,
can't have that. During his court hearings, Thompson would remember just about every detail in his answers about various cases, other than the important one. Where's the gold? Thompson told the judge
where's
that
the
they could give him a
gold?
death sentence since he already told
Maximal
prosecutors
for
and other
anyone.
authorities on the
Give
case
the goblin some
everything he knew,
gold.
which that's also incredibly dramatic. Hey, where's all that gold you're hiding? Just kill me. Do it. Shoot me in the head. Thompson's attorney was granted a request for his client to undergo a psychiatric evaluation to see if Thompson's failure to fulfill the terms of the plea agreement could be a result of his mental condition, specifically his memory. After the evaluation, it was determined that there was no evidence that Thompson's refusal to answer the question was the result of his mental health. Shocking. Thompson stonewalling the authorities did not help his situation. The gold that he believed would unlock his freedom to a life of discovery and exploration was now the key that locked him in a prison cell. Because he had not kept his end of the bargain in the plea deal, a different judge ordered him to pay a fine of $1,000 a day until he agreed to cooperate. Thompson was held in, quote, civil contempt of court, which is essentially a coercive measure that would keep Thompson in jail until he gives up the location of the coins. Normally, when you hear about someone being in contempt of court, it's because they're doing something to disrupt the courtroom or doing something to impede court proceedings. So normally, the judge just puts them in a holding cell while they're in contempt. And then after like an hour, they calm down or the thing goes away and they can get let out. But because he has to say where the coins went, because that is the money that he's hiding from investors that, you know, got him this whole fugitive status in the first place, since he's not saying where the coins are, he is continuously in contempt. Thompson's 2-year sentence had now gone on for 3 years, as the court had put his criminal sentencing on hold until he resolved his civil contempt issue. As of 2020, Thompson's racked up more than $1.7 million in fines. And to this day, he has maintained that he doesn't know the location of those 500 coins. That is right.
Baller.
He is still, right now, in prison over contempt of court. That he could walk out of the jail at any second if he just said where the coins are. That is a
Don't do it.
of contempt of court. I didn't even know you could do that. He claims they were transferred to an irrevocable trust in Belize. Golden, Thompson's lawyer, confirmed that Belize's strict trust laws align with Thompson's statements. Quote, once a trust is established, the person who opened it can't access the assets if the manager of the trust, in this case, a bank in Belize, believe the person's under duress. Which, sure, that sounds good on paper and all, but there's a difference in being held at gunpoint and made to empty your bank account and being in contempt of court because you won't hand over the money. I guess they're technically both cases of getting robbed, but if the U.S. government's the one doing the robbing, I'm sure Belize would be more than happy to say if they have the coins. During Antikyre's deposition, she informed authorities that she moved the coins from 2006 to 2010 at Thompson's direction without informing investors. At first, the coins were shipped from California to Jacksonville, Florida, where they were kept in a safe deposit box before they were transferred to a facility in Fort Lauderdale. Antikyre said that she believes that they were then eventually taken to Belize. The company that allegedly received the coins in Belize has no record of them, and no one can access the trust without a power of attorney signed by Thompson, which, you guessed it, he claims he cannot sign. Thompson's capture changed his reputation from a scientist hero to a rogue thief who bungled an opportunity to make himself, his crew, and his investors rich. But underneath a man who succumbed to Gollum's disease, this golden-laden tragedy has a silver lining. Thompson's mission down to the SS Central America was historic in its scientific accomplishments. The jerry-rigged submersible is now the standard practice for deep-sea expeditions, specifically how the robotic arms operate to preserve objects before extraction. For example, Nemo would carefully place a frame around a pile of cones and inject it with silicone. When solidified, this created a block that could be easily stored till it was ready to be brought up to the surface. The images captured and hours of video recorded help scientists study deep ocean life and new species, particularly deep-sea sponges that were examined for their anti-tumor
Go and wreck up
properties.
the place.
As for the retrieved coins and gold recovered during the 2014 Odyssey Marine expedition, you know, the mission that took place without Thompson, they were auctioned and sold or put in public exhibits in Los Angeles and at an NRA convention in Dallas. Whatever gold or treasure Thompson hopes to find should he be released would only be what he stashed or sold and hid away from his partners. And for those initial investors, they would have to wait 33 years to eventually see a dime. While they weren't able to break even, more than $2 million had been distributed back to them, which meant they got some of their money back. And as for those 500 restrike coins, they would never see the light of day again, at least not at the time of recording. And remember, these investors knew what they signed up for. Remember the bye-bye written on the memo line of the check given to Thompson? And notably, only 2 out of the 100 plus investors actually sued Thompson. But for those investors, well, the fact that they're willing to pay for a 15-year lawsuit that cost at least 3 times the initial investment points to the fact that the money doesn't matter at this point. Thompson stole from them and then lied about it. They're sending the message that even in the unlikely chance Thompson recovers those 500 coins, he will certainly have no time to enjoy them, not even considering the fact that his fines in court are now more than the coins are worth. At his trial in November of 2018, new evidence revealed Thompson had a bank account in the Cook Islands that held more than $4 million, as well as stashed gold at the Central America wreck site that was presumed to be recovered later. Which, that's dedication. Stash your gold at the bottom of the ocean. It's just a shame it's the one spot in the bottom of the ocean that everyone's looking for gold in. And for the first time, Thompson publicly admitted that there was gold he hadn't told anyone about. He said that the gold was bait, using it to determine if somebody had been down there without authorization. Oh, that pile of gold I hid over there, that was a test. It was like a mousetrap of sorts, to see if anyone else would be stealing my gold from the bottom of the ocean. Thompson told the court that if he brought up that gold in 1991, the cash from that sale could have been given to the investors. But why not pay back the investors in the first place? Well, maybe that answer's somewhere in the psych evaluation. All we know for now is this: he was obsessed with being in control. And when Columbus America Discovery Group had used up its investment capital, it had to borrow money to keep the operation afloat, and at one point had to run up debts of more than $40 million. This, in addition to the legal battles with various insurance companies, caused him to suspend recovery operations, leaving more than 90% of the gold at the wreck site. Personal struggles, such as the death of his father and his own divorce, had caused him to become increasingly suspicious, and this heavily strained his relationship with the investors. When 2 of them sued, Thompson's paranoia took over, and none of them would ever see a dime. I'm sure it wasn't the dollar value that kept Thompson from giving any of them their money. It was the fact that he didn't want them to have it. And during Thompson's trial, in those 4.5 weeks, none of the investors showed up to give testimony, to complain, or even to observe. Most of them had died by then, and their children or grandchildren now were in charge of the investment. After the closing arguments from the attorneys, the jury had finally reached its verdict. Thompson owed a combined total of $19.4 million.
Damn.
The jury had felt that Thompson acted with no malice, so there were no punitive damages or court fees awarded to Thompson. Outside of the trial, the court of public opinion had already reached a verdict years ago. Thompson will never reveal the whereabouts of the gold coins, nor would he ever pay back the money that the courts say he owes. And whether those entities ultimately collect, time will tell. But in the meantime, there are options.
Why does he look so cool?
They've been looking at offers from the expedition, including the previously mentioned silicone molds that once held gold coins, as well as jewelry, clothing, and even cigars that are perfectly fine to smoke today. According to Golden, Thompson's lawyer, these trinkets pale in comparison to the fortune these investors and insurance firms could have. He says that instead of suing Thompson, they should have let him finish the recovery of the Central America and stay on as partners for future missions. In fact, in the mid-90s, Thompson was in talks with the Colombian government to recover a ship whose cargo was estimated at a few $1 billion. The deal eventually fell apart because of Thompson's legal woes. Which, yeah, all of that sounds good on paper if it wasn't for the fact when Thompson ran into legal trouble with the insurance companies, he shut down to everyone. Sure, if nothing ever went wrong and Thompson kept hauling up money, maybe then he would have gave it to the investors. But you can't trust Thompson as a business partner if at the first sign of trouble, he just curls up in a turtle shell and hoards all the money. Especially considering that after he got in trouble for that, he just went on the Reddit and changed his name and lived in hotels for years. Not the kind of guy you want to run a multi-million-dollar operation with. The lawsuit from the sonar technicians was eventually dismissed with prejudice, which means they cannot sue Thompson in the future. Small win for Thompson, whose focus is now on appealing the verdict to diminish the payment or have it overturned altogether. Separate from the trial, Thompson has filed an appeal in federal court to be released from prison, based on federal statuses that limit imprisonment for uncooperative witnesses to 18 months, which I would argue this is not an uncooperative witness, but whatever. And on January 31st, 2025, quote, a U.S. District Court in Ohio terminated the civil contempt charge against Thompson, who must now serve out the rest of his 2-year criminal sentence, which is up in January of 2027. The judge rationalized that for 10 years, Thompson refused to give the gold's location and was convinced that further imprisonment would yield a different result. And when Thompson eventually completes his criminal sentencing, there's still the matter of facing millions of dollars in fines once he's released, not to mention lingering civil suits from other entities. So you heard that right. A year from now, Thompson will be getting out of jail.
Nice.
Since last January, the judge said he's no longer held in contempt. He still has to serve his 2-year prison sentence. So don't worry, he's going to get out of jail and immediately get hit with tens of millions of dollars worth of fines and payments and payouts and whatnot. Maybe then he can recover those gold coins and rewrite his legacy. And maybe there's another treasure hunter out there, combing through court documents, examining Thompson's research, looking for any clues to where he might have hidden his gold. Remember Mel Fisher, the treasure hunter with whom Thompson worked early in his career? Well, eventually, Fisher found the Atocha shipwreck off the Florida Keys and spent nearly a decade tied up in litigation against the state of Florida to keep the title of the wreck. And he endured similar legal battles as Thompson, some of which reached as high as the U.S. Supreme Court. Ultimately, Fisher and his partners were awarded rights to all the Trin treasure from the Atocha. His, unlike Thompson's, was a case of happily ever after. It's interesting how much Thompson is caught in a monkey's trap. There's stories, and I don't know if this is a real thing, it's just an anecdote I've heard my whole life, that you can catch monkeys by having food in a cage with a small hole for them to slip their hand through. But once the monkey grabs the food and makes a fist, their hand is now too large to pull back out of the hole. The monkey could simply walk away if he just lets go of the food, but the monkey will not let go of the food, meaning he'll sit there and try to pull his closed fist out of the hole until the hunter shows up to catch him. Some of this could have been avoided if Thompson just calmed down. Like, yeah, I could only imagine how frustrating it would be if you spent 5 years trying to find a shipwreck and then insurance companies from the 1800s show up for their cut of the pie. But all he had to do was endure that and then keep getting the gold, and he still would have had tens of millions of dollars as well as the artifacts. Like I said, he got 92.5%. I'm sure he's got to split all that with investors, but do you know what his 17% of that 92% would have been? More money than he probably ever would have spent. But because he didn't want to give money to the people that gave him money to get here in the first place, because he and his attorneys wanted to argue technicalities and say, oh, they were okay with nothing happening here, which, yeah, they wrote bye-bye on a check and said they'd be fine if nothing came of this. That's with the assumption that you don't find the shipwreck. If they find the shipwreck, then yeah, the investors want their money. But if he would have just paid them what was theirs, everything would have been fine. But because it became his money and his gold and his shipwreck, well, he's stuck there. Instead, his collection of gold became a collection of court trouble. We look at the lives of treasure hunters through media like Indiana Jones, The Goonies, or the Uncharted series, but maybe it's not worth all the trouble. Not only do you have to spend years researching, finding investors, braving deadly elements in open waters, as well as navigating the depths with little to no light using expensive equipment, once you do find it, you have to face the scariest monster of all,
the government.
Governments. And that might make the cost of finding one's buried treasure just a bit too high. And with that, we have the story, Tommy Thompson's buried treasure, which if he physically buried those 500 coins somewhere, that means that what was once the Central America's buried treasure is now Thompson's buried treasure. So get to finding that. This is such a fascinating case and one that I think deserves to be talked about. Like I said, Tommy gets out of jail in a year. Maybe as soon as he gets out, he'll go get the coins and all these other secret coins he didn't tell anyone about. And maybe he'll be the one laughing and I'll be the one looking stupid as he has money to pay off everyone and like $100 million to buy a missile to blow my house up with. That would actually be crazy if that happened. I wouldn't even be mad. But I feel this is a story of good intentions leading to greed that's too interesting not to talk about. So thank you all for sticking through this with me, and above all else, thank you for watching. I'm so blessed and excited to see how well this channel's done in 2025, and I'm so excited to see where we're going into the new year. Y'all have been great to me and allowed me to put together a fantastic team of wonderful people who make this channel possible. The ones who worked on this video will be credited in the description, so be sure to show them some love. New videos on the way soon, but I believe that should do it for now. Before I go, we just want to say thank you for watching. We hope that you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be fucking done.
You know what Tommy should have done is when he found the boat, he should have just paid everyone off on the ship. And then they go back to the investors and they're like, oh, you know, couldn't find anything. And then behind them, as they're saying that, there is a very obvious giant sunken ship on the back of a tractor trailer and a mountain of gold. And they're like, oh, we found that somewhere else on the way here, but we didn't find the thing you paid us for. Sorry about that. That's what I would have done. I'm sure that would have went great. Wiggle your big toe.
No. Give me that custom shooter. Alright. Alrighty, I am